Chapter 890. With a heart full of joy, Qin Hao walked out of the secret room. The sun shone on his face, making him feel exceptionally comfortable. Calculating the time, it took him 13 days to enter seclusion. Today was the 14th day. He wondered how Jiang Fan was doing. He hoped that kid didn't make any mistakes. Qin Hao's lips curved into a smile as he walked towards the main hall of the sect. When he arrived at the main hall, Ling, Xiaoxue, and Mu Feiyu were actually there. It seemed that everyone knew that the sect master would definitely come out today. But Qin Hao could vaguely sense that everyone's expressions were not normal, as if something big had happened. In particular, the Xianming elders' auras were unstable. They were obviously injured. Sect master, you've come out. When Qin Hao arrived, Ling, Xiaoxue, and the others were overjoyed. Qin Hao's face suddenly darkened. He glanced at everyone and only found that Jiang Fan was missing. Where's Jiang Fan? And in the pharmacy, Yang Kuan lowered his head, not daring to meet Qin Hao's gaze. It was as if he didn't keep an eye on him and failed to supervise him properly. Without another word, Qin Hao flicked his sleeves and went straight to the pharmacy. His intuition told him that Jiang Fan had caused trouble. After a while, he arrived at the back garden of the martial hall. Jiang Fan was indeed there. He was lying on a large rocking chair with his legs crossed and swaying leisurely. His eyes were closed, and he had a comfortable expression on his face. There were also washed fruits placed beside him. At this moment, he stretched out his hand and put grapes into his mouth with a satisfied expression on his face. This is your supervision? Qin Hao's heart was filled with anger. His good mood suddenly changed as he pointed at Yang Kuan and reprimanded him. Your supervision is really good. You've spoiled Jiang Fan. Sect master, please let me explain. Yang Kuan panicked, but he didn't have the chance to speak. At this time, Qin Hao had already walked towards Jiang Fan. Hearing everyone's movements, Jiang Fan, who was lying on a rocking chair, opened his eyes. When he saw Qin Hao walking over, he hurriedly got up and greeted him happily. He didn't notice the anger in the other's face at all. Master, you've come out. Yes, Qin Hao said coldly and glanced at the fruits on the table. You really know how to enjoy yourself? Jiang Fan could not help but smile awkwardly. He pushed the rocking chair in front of Qin Hao and helped him up by the arm. Master, please take a seat. You must be exhausted after cultivating in seclusion for half a month. Can you help me unlock the seal on my sea of Qi and Dantian today, so that I can recover my cultivation? Stop playing these useless games. Qin Hao shook off Jiang Fan's hand and looked at the fruit platter on the table again. His body suddenly trembled and his eyes widened. Among the half-eaten fruits, he saw something that should not have been there. Following this, Qin Hao's pupils began to dilate rapidly. His eyes were fixed on a long green object that resembled a cucumber in the fruit plate. He pointed at the object and asked, "What did you eat? Tell me, what did you eat?" As he spoke, Qin Hao looked at the two remaining medicinal herbs in the medicine shop. One of them had already withered. It was obvious that the fruit had been plucked away by someone. These two medicinal herbs were related to saving Ling Xiaoxue's life. I don't know what I ate either. It grew from the flowers and plants you planted. Seeing it mature day by day and bear long fruits, the fruit became more and more fragrant. I couldn't help but pluck it and eat it. I have to say it was sweet and delicious and incomparably crispy. It was the best fruit I've ever eaten. Ha ha! Jiang Fan did not know that he had caused a disaster and laughed without conscience. Bastard! Qin Hao could no longer restrain his anger. He raised his hand, and the immortal binding lock flew out of Yang Kuan's body and returned to his palm. He lashed out fiercely. Smack! A burning sound could be heard. The whip landed on Jiang Fan's face, causing him to spin 3 times in the air and fall to the ground. Jiang Fan raised his head, not knowing what to do. The flesh on his face had been torn apart, revealing a shocking wound. Li Bai, are you crazy? Crazy? I can be even crazier. Qin Hao did not expect such a ridiculous thing to happen. The fruit that Jiang Fan ate was called green crystal. It was a grade 7 king medicine produced by the Medicine Valley. It had extremely strong vitality and was 1,000 times stronger than the blue silvergrass. But once its fruit matured and was plucked, the green crystal would die immediately. It was the key to saving Ling Xiaoxue. But Jiang Fan ate it like a fruit. Qin Hao was so tired that he was like water flowing to the east. Not to mention cultivating the green crystal. Qin Hao used his own blood essence to extract the essence of the spirit essence water to irrigate it. Blood essence was important to him. Without it, Qin Hao could nurse his body and endure the pain of his heart being gouged out before condensing it again. But there was only one seed of the green crystal. Qin Hao could not return to Shiliang and enter the Medicine Valley again. Tom did not allow it. What Jiang Fan ate was not the fruit, but the hope of Ling Xiaoxue's survival. Smack! Qin Hao lashed out again. The skin on Jiang Fan's back split open and his clothes were torn into pieces. This was the heaviest attack in history. Yang Kuan and the others could even hear the sound of bones breaking. Jiang Fan's scream immediately spread throughout the sect, causing all the disciples to swarm over. What did I do wrong? I only ate one of your fruits. My Jiang family did not use anything valuable. We could just compensate you. Why are you beating me like this? Jiang Fan's eyes turned red. Could it be that in Qin Hao's eyes his life was not as important as a fruit? Compensate? Can you afford it? Qin Hao sneered. Jiang Fan did not understand the importance of the green crystal. Without saying anything, he lashed out with the whip again and again, as hard as he could. This time, Qin Hao was really angry. Before the 5 lashes had even landed, Jiang Fan was covered in blood. Wounds appeared on his back, thighs, chest, and neck. When Qin Hao lashed out, he unconsciously activated the Red Lotus Fire. The Red Lotus Fire remained in Jiang Fan's wounds. The strong burning power caused Jiang Fan to be in so much pain that he wished he was dead. But this time, Jiang Fan did not beg for mercy. He gritted his teeth and curled up on the ground. His hands gripped the ground tightly as tears rolled down his cheeks. If one looked carefully, they would see that Jiang Fan's eyes were filled with a sorrowful will to die. Jiang Fan wanted to give up. Sect leader, stop. If you continue, young Master Jiang will die. Li Bai, stop. Mu Fiyu, Yang Kuan, and the Xianming elders all rushed forward to stop him. Ling Xiaoxue did not care about her life. She opened her arms and blocked in front of Jiang Fan. Qin Hao raised the immortal binding lock. When it was 3 inches away from Ling Xiaoxue's face, he quickly retracted it. Get out of the way. I want to teach this evil creature a lesson. Qin Hao roared. Li Bai, I don't know how important that fruit is to you, but this time, you've really wronged Jiang Fan. Why don't you ask for the reason? Ling Xiaoxue could not bear to see him like this. Suddenly, Jiang Fan, who was lying on the ground, could not hold it in anymore. He began to cry. I am a young master of the Jiang family. I never thought that I would end up like this. Meeting you, Li Bai, is my bad luck. I accept my fate. But I, Jiang Fan, am not someone that anyone can humiliate. Rather than becoming a joke in the eyes of others, I might as well be beaten to death by you today. What happened? Qin Hao roared, his red eyes glaring at the Xianming elders. Judging from Jiang Fan's tone, he had suffered an absolutely unbearable blow. We were incompetent. We did not protect you well enough. The Xianming elders were so frightened that they knelt on the ground and slowly explained what had happened. In Lingtai, ancient city, the Jiang family was known as the strongest family. Although they were powerful, they were not the only ones. Chapter 891. When the sect master was in seclusion, young Master Jiang Fan had been behaving and performing well. Occasionally, he would chat with the other disciples in private. In the past, this would never have happened. To praise young Master Jiang Fan, we have decided to give him a day off. Let him go out and relax. The Xianming elders continued. Qin Hao nodded. Ling Xiaoxue and the others had done well. After Jiang Fan entered the sect, he had been trapped in the martial hall. It was time to let him go out for a walk. Even Qin Hao did not expect that in such a short time, Jiang Fan had gradually integrated into the lives of the disciples and had indeed changed a little. But after Jiang Fan went out, something terrible happened. In a tea house, he met his mortal enemy, young Master Wu of the Wu family, Wu Bai. The news of Jiang Fan being taken away by Qin Hao from the Jiang family and brought into the Lingyun school had already spread throughout the entire Lingtai city. The people were all talking about it, and Qin Hao's power was only at the heavenly saint level. In the eyes of others, Jiang Fan was a joke. Without a doubt, Wu Bai took the initiative to provoke him and said a lot of sarcastic words. Most of them were directed at Qin Hao. What kind of temper did Jiang Fan have? The little ancestor of the Jiang family was not afraid of anything. Even his grandfather could not control him. How could he tolerate Wu Bai's arrogance? Although Jiang Fan hated Qin Hao from the bottom of his heart, he had already become a disciple of the Lingyun school in name. That was an indisputable fact. Even if the Lingyun school was trash in the eyes of others, Jiang Fan still had a sense of honor in the sect. He had a conflict with Wu Bai. The young master of the Wu family had been spoiled since young. His morals were not much better than Jiang Fan's. In terms of cultivation, he was even 2 levels lower than Jiang Fan. However, Jiang Fan's energy center and sea of qi had been sealed by Qin Hao. He could not use his power. In the end, he was beaten black and blue by Wu Bai. Wu Bai was even more proud. He had never won against Jiang Fan. This was the first time in his life. He suddenly became excited and threw Jiang Fan out of the restaurant onto the street, humiliating him in front of the entire city. While they were beating him up, they were cursing and even insulting Jiang Fan's sister. Yang Kuan was furious and joined the battle, but he was still not Wu Bai's match. After Wu Bai beat up Yang Kuan and Jiang Fan, he mocked the cloud-soaring sect for being trash. With the attitude of a victor, he laughed wildly and swaggered away, leaving an indelible scar in Jiang Fan's heart. After that, Yang Kuan carried the heavily injured Jiang Fan back to Lingyun school. When the Xinming elders saw that the 2 of them were covered in wounds, they immediately jumped up and headed straight for the sect that Wu Bai was in. They had to get an explanation from him. It would be best if Wu Bai could apologize to Jiang Fan. However, Wu Bai's sect was unreasonable. The Xinming elders were injured by the sect master, and they returned in a sorry state. The sect that Wu Bai belonged to was called the Rock and Roll Sect. It was a peculiar sect that specialized in musical attacks. The sect master was a level 7 Yuan Monarch and was born with 6 fingers. He was adept at playing a Guqin and was known as the #1 Guqin demon in Lingtai City. If my Dantian and Qi Si were not sealed by you, how could I have lost to that bastard Wu Bai? I could have won. Li Bai, remember this. The humiliation that day was all because of you. Jiang Fan clenched his fists and tried his best to restrain himself. If Qin Hao had not sealed his cultivation, he definitely would not have one. In a fit of anger, he had eaten Qin Hao's medicinal herbs as revenge. In Jiang Fan's opinion, it was just a stalk of grass. It was no big deal. If he had known that the green crystal was used to save Ling Xiaoshua's life, he would not have eaten it. My grandfather entrusted me to you because he wanted you to take care of me and not let me be bullied by you all the time. You hit me and scolded me. I tolerated it. But when others humiliated me, I could not tolerate it. I, Jiang Fan, am usually arrogant and insufferably arrogant, but I have never been a coward. If one day I become timid and a coward, please remember that it's all because of you, Li Bai. Jiang Fan was very repressed as he pointed at Qin Hao. He felt like a tiger that had its teeth pulled out and claws cut off. He was gradually losing his edge. Creak! Qin Hao clenched his fists. The medicinal herbs that he had painstakingly cultivated were eaten by Jiang Fan. Now, he understood that the rock sect was deliberately looking for trouble while he was in seclusion. Qin Hao's good mood took a turn for the worse, becoming incomparably bad. He stretched out his hand and pressed on Jiang Fan's shoulder. Follow me. With that, he lifted him up and soared into the sky like an eagle. As Jiang Fan screamed in panic, the 2 of them flew directly to the rock sect. When they were in midair, Qin Hao's vision suddenly turned black. As he had overexerted himself for the past few days, the aftereffects began to act up. The remaining 30% of vitality in his body could no longer maintain its normal circulation. His body suddenly fell. However, Qin Hao immediately woke up. His falling body quickly rose up. He gritted his teeth and stared. There were only 3 words in his mind. Rock sect. Sect master, don't be reckless. When Ling Xiaoxue and the rest saw this, they were all anxious. Oh no, something is wrong with the sect master's condition. The Xianming elders looked at each other and noticed that Qin Hao's aura was very unstable. They recalled the strange Gu Qin skills of the rock sect master. Moreover, he was a level 7 Yuan king. The 2 of them nodded vigorously. Their bodies swayed and they disappeared. When they reappeared, they were already in front of the Jiang residence. Today, they had to ask Old Master Jiang for help. In the past 3 days, the Jiang family had not taken revenge on the rock sect and the Wu family because Patriarch Jiang was waiting for Qin Hao to come out of seclusion. He wanted to see what Qin Hao's attitude was. He had left his grandson in Qin Hao's care. Now his grandson was being bullied. If Qin Hao did not stand up for Jiang Fan, there would be no need for the friendship between the Ling Yun school and the Jiang family. Qin Hao had already guessed this before he flew to the rock sect. Therefore, he had to fight, not only for the Jiang family and Jiang Fan. He also had to fight for himself and the Ling Yun school. Wu Bai's 6-fingered demonic zither, get out here. When he arrived at the rock sect, Qin Hao left Jiang Fan behind and yelled at the gate. His voice was like thunder as it rumbled inside. Looking at Qin Hao, who had fallen into a rage, Jiang Fan sat on the ground and laughed coldly. He knew that Qin Hao was here to stand up for him. But Jiang Fan did not care. Qin Hao was only a weak heavenly saint. He had come alone. Even the Xianming elders had been defeated by the rock sect leader. What could Qin Hao do? To put it bluntly, he was just here to embarrass himself and humiliate himself. Do you think everyone is like me, Jiang Fan? You can beat and scold them without fighting back. Li Bai, let me give you a piece of advice. Go back. Wu Bai is not someone you can mess with. He is afraid of my identity and does not dare to kill you. But who do you think you are? If you anger him because he even dared to destroy your Ling Yun school, what are you pretending to be? Jiang Fan said angrily. Qin Hao turned a deaf ear to that. When he looked up and saw the rock sect sign floating in the air, he swung the immortal binding lock in his hand. With a snap, it wrapped around the sign and pulled with all his might, breaking it in half. With that, it also announced that the Ling Yun school had declared war on the rock sect. Who's the one making such a big fart? Who dares to yell at our respected senior brother Wu Bai and the sect master? At this time, a few disciples walked out of the rock sect lazily. However, before they could even take a step, they saw the sect sign shattered on the ground. They could not help but be enraged. Whoosh! Similarly, a rope flew from the street and whipped them. Qin Hao had made the first move. Against Jiang Fan, Qin Hao might be merciful. Against those who were not from the Ling Yun school, the only way was death. Chapter 892. Murder. In the rock sect, some of the disciples who were practicing immediately stopped their practice and screamed in panic when they saw such a gory scene. This was the first time that someone had been killed in public in Lingtai City. Moreover, it was the first time that a rock sect disciple had died. Following this, dozens of powerful auras flew out one after another and landed in front of the rock sect's gate. Every time an aura landed, it turned into an elder in a white robe. His strength ranged from a low-level Yuan Monarch to a mid-level Yuan Monarch. He should be an elder of the rock sect. At the same time, there was a loud crash. About 600 rock and roll sect disciples rushed out of the sect in a frenzy in an instant. They stood behind the elders and formed a few rows. The disciples carried flutes, eru, pipa, and various other musical instruments. They had everything they needed, and they were all colorful. In less than 10 seconds, the entire sect had come out. There were 2 people standing at the head of the table. One of them was Jiang Fan's archenemy, Wu Bai, the young master of the Wu family. Wu Bai was carrying a musical instrument the size of a pipa on his waist. What Qin Hao didn't understand was that there were 5 strings on the instrument, and there was a big hole under the body of the instrument. It was obviously not a pipa. Qin Hao only understood after the incident that this was called a guitar. It was a musical instrument that the young master of the Wu family had created. Qin Hao didn't have the time to study the guitar. Instead, He looked at the person beside Wu Bai. There was a young man beside Wu Bai. The young man was about 30 years old and looked rather young. He was dressed in white and looked very handsome and refined. He was holding a folding fan in his hand. He opened it and waved it with a smile on his face. His right hand, which was holding the fan, actually had 6 fingers. Qin Hao had heard that the new sect master of the rock sect was young and promising. He had inherited his father's business. There was no doubt that this person was the 6-fingered Guqin demon. So it's sect leader Li of the cloud-soaring sect. The story of sect leader Li teaching the young master of the Jiang family has become a popular topic in the city. I've long heard of it. Now that I've met you today, I've long heard of you. The 6-fingered Guqin demon didn't care about the deaths of his disciples. He cupped his fists at Qin Hao and laughed heartily. His smile was full of sarcasm. Including Wu Bai, all the rock and roll sect elders burst into laughter. Their laughter was loud and clear, and they laughed for a long time. During this time, he didn't even pant. This was truly admirable. The rock and roll sect was indeed a professional musician. All of their breaths were long, and their voices were unique. Even their laughter was different. The rhythm of their laughter was sometimes high and sometimes low. A few of them even reached the climax of their laughter. May I know why Sect Master Li has come to our rock and roll sect? The 6-fingered zither demon laughed for the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn before it finally stopped. It looked at Qin Hao with a look of disdain on its face. He knew that Qin Hao was here because of Jiang Fan. Whoosh! Qin Hao's face darkened. He tore a piece of cloth from the corner of his clothes, bit his finger, and wrote the word death on the cloth. He threw it at the foot of the 6-fingered zither demon. Let's not beat around the bush. You know better than I do why I'm here. I will take responsibility for what happened to Jiang Fan. In the city today, in the arena, you and I will fight to see who's better and who's dead. After he finished speaking, Qin Hao looked at Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan's heart skipped a beat. He understood the meaning in Qin Hao's eyes. He clenched his fist and tore a piece of cloth from the corner of his clothes. He wrote the word death on it with the same method and threw it at Wu Bai's foot. Qin Hao's eyes were telling him that today they would fight side by side and kill the rock and roll sect. Master against master, disciple against disciple. We'll fight to the death and leave it to fate. Do you dare to accept? Qin Hao looked at the 6-fingered zither demon. The smile on the 6-fingered zither demon's face disappeared. It was replaced by a serious expression. He said with a tense face, Li Bai, are you serious? He didn't expect Qin Hao to do such a crazy thing. Both parties signed a pledge of allegiance. Even if they died in battle, no one would pursue the matter. Jiang Fan and Wu Bai just had a small private matter. It was nothing. At most, Jiang Fan would lose some face. However, Qin Hao wanted to fight to the death with the 6-fingered zither demon just for some face. Cut the crap. Do you want to fight? Do you want Wu Bai to kneel before my disciple, kowtow 1,000 times, slap himself 1,000 times, and call himself a piece of trash? Qin Hao pointed at Wu Bai. F***CK, your ancestors. Wu Bai was furious. He would never kowtow to apologize and slap himself. Fine, fine. You got guts. We'll have a public battle in the arena in the city, right? I, the 6-fingered zither demon, accept. The 6-fingered zither demon closed the folding fan in his hand. His eyes shone with a sharp light. Originally, he was afraid of old Master Zhang's authority and was prepared to go to the Jiang residence to apologize on behalf of his disciple. However, Qin Hao overestimated his own capabilities and insisted on sticking his head out. He was just a weak heavenly saint. Did he really think he was someone important? Old Master Jiang is an emperor-level expert. I, the 6-fingered zither demon, admire him. Who do you think you are, Li Bai? You just came to Lingtai City a few days ago and became famous by relying on the Jiang residence. How dare you behave atrociously in front of me? Who gave you the courage? Is it your master's wife? Ha ha, I'm dying of laughter. The 6-fingered zither demon was really convinced. He was worried about how to calm old Master Zhang's anger. But Qin Hao interrupted and challenged him to a fight. This time, even if he killed Qin Hao, the Jiang family had no excuse to pursue the matter. He could only blame Li Bai for not being as good as him. I'll wait for you in the arena in the city. Qin Hao was too lazy to talk nonsense. He lifted Jiang Fan's shoulder and flew to the center of Lingtai City in a flash of light. The Jiang residence was in the center and was not far from the arena. Looking at Qin Hao flying away, an elder of the rock sect sneered. At first, I thought that Li Bai was quite smart to climb up the Jiang family's coattails and lead the sect to fame. I never thought that he would do such a stupid thing. He's courting death by challenging our 7th-level Yuan King sect leader. Why does he need our sect leader to kill Heavenly Saint Li Bai? I'm willing to do it for him. Many elders asked for a fight. No, this time, I'll do it myself. After killing Li Bai, I'll take advantage of the victory to lower my status and apologize to old Master Jiang. Otherwise, there's no guarantee that Jiang Bida won't make a move in the dark. The six-fingered zither demon's face darkened. An emperor-level expert could kill millions of people when he was angry. Although the Wu Bai family was powerful, they were still inferior to the Jiang family. In fact, the six-fingered zither demon had another plan after defeating Qin Hao. This would prove that he was more suitable to teach the disciples of the rich and powerful. Perhaps Ancestor Jiang would send Jiang Fan to the rock sect. In that case, the rock sect would become famous. The six-fingered zither demon was delighted at the thought of this. He waved his hand. Spread the news in the city that I'm going to fight with Li Bai from the Lingyun school. Let the people and the elders come and watch. Today, I, the six-fingered zither demon, will make a name for myself. My disciple, let's go. Then, like Qin Hao, the six-fingered zither demon grabbed Wu Bai's shoulder and landed in the center of the city. Hee, Jiang Fan, today is the day you die. I've been waiting for this day for a long time. Wu Bai also had an ulterior motive. According to Qin Hao, master against master and disciple against disciple, it would be a fight to the death. Chapter 893. After the disciples of the rock and roll sect spread the news, more than 50% of the people in Lingtai City rushed to the arena in the center of the city. The arena was huge, and it was a place specially used for grand ceremonies. At this moment, there was a sea of people. Today was extremely exciting. The sect master of the Lingyun school, Li Bai, had stood up for his disciples and publicly challenged the level 7 Yuan Monarch, six-fingered Guqin demon. It had been a long time since such a big event had happened in Lingtai City. How could they miss the opportunity to watch it? Among them, there were some first-rate experts in the city. The upper echelons of the major families were also present. The first to arrive were the people from the Jiang Mansion and the Wu family. Moreover, both parties knew about the fair contract between Qin Hao and six-fingered Guqin demon. When Patriarch Jiang, Jiang Tiangang, Jiang Yu, and Ling Xiaoxua led the disciples of the Lingyun school to the arena, Qin Hao and six-fingered Guqin demon brought their disciples and stood below the arena. The battle of life and death was about to start. In my opinion, the Lingyun school is overestimating himself and is deliberately seeking death. How can a mere heaven sage defeat a level 7 Yuan monarch? Six-fingered sect master doesn't even need to use his hands. He can kill Li Bai with just his breath. It's fine if Li Bai is embarrassing himself, but he has dragged young Master Jiang Fan down with him. It's really Patriarch Jiang's misfortune. Everyone knows that Patriarch Jiang dotes on his grandson the most. Young Master Jiang Fan is the future head of the Jiang family. If he dies today, shut up. Don't you want to live anymore? The crowd was discussing fervently. The experts of the Jiang Mansion heard the discussion. The experts of the Jiang Mansion were extremely nervous. Their foreheads were covered in sweat, and they were very worried about Jiang Fan's situation. At the same time, they were all cursing Qin Hao in their hearts. Someone couldn't help but speak up. Patriarch, the Jiang family can't let Li Bai do whatever he wants. The duel must be cancelled. Also, I suggest that Li Bai be executed. Everyone be quiet. Jiang Bida pondered deeply for a moment. His voice wasn't loud, yet it struck the hearts of everyone like the ringing of a bell, causing them to shut their mouths obediently. Jiang Bida took a deep breath and looked at Qin Hao and Jiang Fan. He said coldly, Li Bai may die, but I won't let anything happen to him. a fair contract battle, and they didn't allow the family forces to interfere? Sorry, in the eyes of the old man, there was no such thing as a promise. Whether Qin Hao lived or died was up to fate. If he died, he could only blame himself. But Jiang Bida would never allow anyone to hurt Jiang Fan in front of him. As soon as Jiang Fan showed signs of losing, he would immediately stop him. Jiang Tiangang and River Feather understood old ancestor Jiang's thoughts with a single glance. Jiang Tiangang didn't think there was anything wrong with it. He thought so too, but River Feather's small hands tightly gripped the hem of her skirt, her face filled with worry. Although Li Bai was a little impulsive, after all, it was for her younger brother. Moreover, she admired Li Bai's character. She didn't want to watch him die in front of her. River Feather decided that once Qin Hao was defeated by the six-fingered zither demon, she would immediately ask her grandfather to help. Even if she had to kneel on the ground, she had to beg her grandfather to agree. For this, she didn't hesitate to sacrifice her reputation. I hope you can feel my intentions. This time you can't miss me, River Feather murmured. Beside the Jiang Manor's people, the Xianming elders, Ling, Xiaoxue, and the others were all extremely nervous. The Xianming elders had already gone to the Jiang Manor and begged old ancestor Jiang to help. But the answer they received was, he wouldn't interfere in the duel. Ling Xiaoxue's heart was in her throat. She was helpless to the extreme. As the sect master, Qin Hao shouldered the hopes of Ling Yun's school's revival. The Ling Yun school was Ling Quan's blood, sweat, and tears. Although Qin Hao had defeated the Xianming elders with his heavenly sage cultivation some time ago. However, the six-fingered zither demon was much stronger than the Xianming elders. Ling Xiaoxue didn't have a shred of confidence in Qin Hao's battle. Ha ha ha, everyone look! The Ling Yun school's group of trash looks dejected. They're 80% sure that Li Bai will die under the sect master's zither. Sect master doesn't need to use his zither to deal with Li Bai. Any random elder from our rock sect has a stronger cultivation than Li Bai. After Li Bai's death, the Ling Yun school's trash became stray dogs, Whether it was in terms of lineup or momentum, the rock sect had the absolute advantage against the weak Ling Yun school. More than 600 people mocked the 50-odd Ling Yun school's disciples. Although Yang Kuan and the others were furious, they couldn't do anything. The rock sect had more people, strong soldiers, and better equipment than the Ling Yun school. Indeed, they couldn't be compared to the other sect. At this moment, seeing that the crowd was almost full, Qin Hao took the lead and went up the stage. He said to the six-fingered zither demon, "The first battle is between master and master. As masters, we will set an example." "That's exactly what I want." The six-fingered zither demon smiled disdainfully and was about to go up the stage. Fighting with this person is simply a stain on the sect master's identity. Watch me kill this person and strengthen the rock sect's prestige. Suddenly, an elder rose from the ground and went up the stage in an extremely coquettish manner. The six-fingered zither demon was stunned. After seeing that it was the fifth elder, he looked displeased. However, he didn't calm down. He helplessly spread his hands at Qin Hao. "You saw it too. It's not that I don't want to go up, but the elders of my sect think that you are not worthy of fighting with me. If you're not satisfied, you can let the Xianming elders take your place. However, I have to remind you that the fifth elder is a level 4 Yuan Monarch. If the Xianming elders go up alone, they will be courting death." Ha ha ha. The disciples of the rock sect burst into laughter. How could the Ling Yun school be worthy of being called a sect if they couldn't even send out an elder? "This is too much. I'll go." The tall, skinny elder shouted angrily. He was also very worried. After all, he was only a level 2 Yuan Monarch. If he teamed up with a short, fat elder, they wouldn't have any chance of winning against a level 4 Yuan Monarch. However, if Qin Hao died, the Xianming elders wouldn't be able to survive because of the fire poison in their bodies. This was really difficult. What should they do? Ha! The sound of a whip was heard as it suddenly lashed out on the stage. Before the tall, skinny elder could step on the stage, he froze on the spot. The maniacal laughter of the disciples of the rock sect was instantly stuck in their throats. They couldn't laugh anymore. This was because the fifth elder on the stage was dead. Qin Hao had suddenly lashed his body with his whip and split it into two. At that moment, the two halves of his body disintegrated and fell off the stage. The left and right halves were separated into two halves. A level 4 Yuan Monarch had actually been split into two halves by Li Bai's whip. The hundreds of thousands of commoners and the patriarchs of the major clans were equally shocked. Before they could even mock Qin Hao, the fifth elder had died. The Jiang family's patriarch rubbed his eyes frantically. He hadn't been paying attention and hadn't seen clearly. He felt like he was in a dream. Who can tell me what just happened? The six-fingered Guqin demon pointed at the two halves of the fifth elder's body and asked in a trembling voice. However, no one told him, because no one had really seen clearly. Next, Qin Hao said expressionlessly as he looked down at the six-fingered Guqin demon and the various elders. From the beginning to the end, he had been calm and composed, without the slightest ripple of emotion. Oh my God! Chapter 894. He is indeed the sect master. Even though he is not in his best condition, killing a level 4 Yuan Monarch is still as easy as killing a pig. The tall and skinny Xianming elders muttered as he retreated from the stone steps. He remembered Qin Hao saying that he could fight a Yuan Venerate if he unleashed his full strength. In the past, the tall and skinny old man had not believed it completely. Today, he believed it. Even if Qin Hao's aura was much weaker than before, he might not lose to the six-fingered Guqin demon. I hope so. However, the short and fat old man's worries did not lessen because of this. He had a feeling that something bad was going to happen. How could he whip the fifth elder to death in one strike? This doesn't make sense. It must be the weapon in his hand. What kind of heaven-defying item is that? The rock sect disciples looked at each other. They were no longer as confident as before. The scene was too strange. They believed that Qin Hao's victory should be due to the immortal binding lock. Even Ling Xiaoxue, Mu Feiyu, and the other disciples felt that the immortal binding lock contained a huge secret. However, Jiang Bida and the other Yuan Venerate experts were very perceptive. They could clearly sense that the immortal binding lock in Qin Hao's hand was only a peaked sacred weapon. Damn it, this kid hit his cultivation level. The six-fingered Guqin demon's eyes widened as he guessed. Then he made a grabbing motion with his palm and wanted to go up the stage. At that moment, an arm blocked his chest. The six-fingered Guqin demon looked up. Second Elder? The second elder nodded and said solemnly, Sect Master, this kid is very strange. Let the old man test his strength first. If he is no match for him, I have the ability to escape unscathed. The previous sect master of the rock sect, the father of the six-fingered Guqin demon, had instructed the second elder to take care of the six-fingered Guqin demon before leaving the sect with a great elder to do something important. How could the second elder forget the previous sect master's orders? All right, the six-fingered Guqin demon nodded. He could vaguely see that Qin Hao was not an ordinary heavenly sage, but he could not guess how strong his cultivation level was. As for the second elder, he was the person with the highest cultivation level in the rock and roll sect other than the six-fingered Guqin demon. He had the strength of a level 6 Yuan Monarch and rarely met a match for him when it came to playing the flute. He was extremely confident in the second elder. Qin Hao would definitely not be able to harm the second elder in the slightest. As he spoke, the second elder stepped onto the stage. As he stepped onto the stage, a commotion broke out among the commoners and the various large families. It's actually the second elder of the deadly flute clan. Li Bai is done. Although I don't know how he defeated the fifth elder, facing Shaoyin Duoming is a tragedy for Li Bai. Hey, old Master Jiang of the Jiang clan, quickly collect the corpse of your clan's Li Bai dog. Ha. The Wu clan's head laughed out loud. He believed in the second elder's ability. Following this, Jiang Bida revealed a serious expression. River Feather was also prepared to beg his grandfather at any time. On the other hand, Qin Hao's expression remained unchanged as the second elder got closer and closer to him. Young friend, you are really skillful. You are able to defeat our fifth elder in one move despite being a sky sage. This old man admires you greatly." After the second elder stood still, he pretended to praise Qin Hao with a smile. He wanted to find out more secrets from Qin Hao. "You only have one chance to make a move." Qin Hao raised a finger coldly. The smile on the second elder's face froze as a strong sense of humiliation rose within him. One move? Was he looking down on him? Not to mention Qin Hao. Even the level 7 Yuan Monarch six-fingered demonic zither would not dare to say that he could defeat the second elder in one move. The deadly flute clan's reputation had been widespread in the pugilistic world for decades. All right, he admitted that he had used the flute to create this reputation. However, those who had heard his flute were basically dead. "Young friend, your spleen and liver are overheated. You need to calm down and listen to the flute to purify your mind. Old man will grant you this opportunity to help you reach paradise as soon as possible." Although he was furious, the second elder pretended to be calm on the surface. He pulled out a jade flute from behind his back. He bit the end of the flute and started to play it with an intoxicated look on his face. When the sound of the flute filled the air, circles of sound waves were created in the air. Faint vicissitudes of life could also be heard in the martial arts arena. With a laugh from the vast sea, the waves on the two shores, floating and sinking with the waves, only remembering today. The sky laughs, the waves of the world. Only God knows who the winner is. The mountains and rivers laugh. The mist and rain are distant. The waves are washed away. How much do you know about the mundane world? La 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 la, la 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 la. The vicissitudes of life and the tone of the song were heroic. It seemed to be telling people about the countless joys and sorrows of the pugilistic world, as well as the happiness, gratitude, and hatred of the people of the pugilistic world. The tens of thousands of martial artists present could empathize with the song. They could not help but cry and laugh bitterly. It was true that one could not help but be in the pugilistic world. Of course, every martial artist's realm was different. Their understanding of the song and the flute was also different. When the cold-blooded martial artists heard the song, scenes of heart-stirring battles appeared before their eyes. They felt hot blood rush to their heads and their eyes turn red. They wished they could throw themselves into the scenes and start an endless massacre. For those martial artists who had sad memories, scenes of their loved ones dying appeared in their minds. They were in so much pain that they wished they were dead. For those martial artists who were not fated to be with their old lovers, the faces and smiles of their old lovers appeared in their minds. They recalled the time they had spent together. In short, everyone was affected by the second elder's flute and singing. They would all have different scenes. Those scenes gradually engulfed the martial artists' minds, causing them to hallucinate. They could not tell if it was reality or a dream. Gradually, the martial artists lost control. Panic spread among the commoners. The commoners suddenly saw some people pulling out their swords and sabers and starting a massacre. Some people hugged their heads and knelt on the ground, crying bitterly. Some martial artists kissed the strangers beside them as if they were lovers. There were also some martial artists who could not tell what they were holding in their arms. They mistook the stone pillars of the martial arts arena for their lovers. In an instant, the martial arts arena was in chaos. The chaos came and went quickly. As a dazzling red aura rose from the arena, waves of fire mixed with the aura, Qin Hao finally raised his cultivation to the king stage. He had reached the second tier of the king stage. Then, a loud crack of a whip was heard. The moment the whip sounded, it immediately stopped the flute and the singing. It also shattered the illusions in front of the martial artists. Hundreds of thousands of people watched as a stream of hot blood spurted out from the second elder's head. It was like a fountain rising 30 feet into the air. Then, with a bang, the second elder's head exploded. His body lay flat on the arena. The jade flute in his hand also broke into 2 pieces. It was broken. Next, Qin Hao did not bother to look at the corpse. He was disdainful of this unorthodox music and said expressionlessly. At the same time, His body emitted a dazzling king stage aura. Boom! The entire martial arts arena was in an uproar. All kinds of screams followed. King stage. Li Bai is actually a king stage martial artist. His cultivation has reached the second tier of the king stage. He still killed the second elder in one blow. The second elder is a level 6 Yuan Monarch. How could he be killed so easily? Li Bai's ability to challenge people of a higher level is too terrifying, isn't it? Everyone look, the flames on his body are different. As someone shouted and pointed at Qin Hao, hundreds of thousands of pairs of eyes immediately stared at Qin Hao's rising aura. The color of the aura was not pure red. It was much darker than the aura of an ordinary king stage martial artist. It was as deep as blood and incomparably intense. It's an extraordinary flame. Jiang Bida was very knowledgeable and experienced. He recognized it at a glance and was excited. He secretly clenched his fists. He had never expected that Li Bai was a genius who possessed an essence soul. It seemed like he had to make some changes to Li Bai's position. Chapter 895. They weren't excited because Qin Hao had a strange flame. When Qin Hao subdued the Xianming elders, he had already used his strange flame. At this moment, they were excited and proud of Qin Hao's cultivation base. He had broken through to the king realm. Qin Hao had become a Yuan king expert. In just half a month, he had jumped from level 7 sky saint to level 2 king realm. Not only had he jumped 4 levels, but he had also broken through the bottleneck of the king realm. What a frightening speed of leveling up. Ling Xiaoxue no longer believed that Qin Hao had the potential to become a Yuan master. That was pure nonsense. What kind of shocking secret is hidden in the sect leader's body? Mu Feiyu suppressed his excitement and couldn't help but sigh. When Qin Hao first revealed his Sky Saint cultivation and suppressed the Xianming elders, the disciples of the sect only felt that Qin Hao was very mysterious. They didn't think too much about it. It was enough that Qin Hao was the Ling Yun school's sect leader. But from now on, Qin Hao's identity and background aroused the interest and guesses of the disciples. Don't care who the sect leader is. Can I trouble you to remove your hand first? I'm not interested in men. If you really like Miss River Feather, take this opportunity to confess. A cold voice interrupted Mu Feiyu. It was Yang Kuan. Mu Feiyu was momentarily stunned. He discovered that his hand had somehow slipped into Yang Kuan's embrace and was unscrupulously ravaging his strong chest. Mu Feiyu trembled and quickly pulled his hand out, his face full of embarrassment. Just now, he had been affected by the second elder's flute and had instinctively hallucinated. Although it was a hallucination, it was based on the true thoughts in everyone's heart. In his infatuation, Mu Feiyu mistook Yang Kuan for Jiang Fan's sister and did something indecent. Furthermore, Yang Kuan didn't tell him that when he was touching him, he kept calling out River Feather's name. He was abnormally intoxicated. How hateful, Pa! Six-fingered Zither demon crushed the fan in his hand. He gritted his teeth and glared at Qin Hao on the stage. Qin Hao had killed 2 of the higher-ups of the sect. Sect leader. The disciples were all anxious and began to panic. No one would have thought that Li Bai from the Ling Yun school had concealed his cultivation level. He was actually a monstrous genius with an essence soul. No wonder the 5th elder was whipped to death. Soul essence martial artists were innately stronger than ordinary martial artists. Now, even the 2nd elder, a level 6 Yuan monarch, could not withstand Li Bai's whip, and his head exploded. For the first time in history, the disciples of the rock sect felt pressured. Ling Yun school was not as easy to bully as they had imagined. Six-fingered demonic Zither, it's your turn. I'm in a hurry. At this time, Qin Hao's cold voice sounded. Perhaps in the eyes of an outsider, he had killed the 5th elder with a single whip and then smashed the 2nd elder with a single whip. But in reality, Qin Hao's condition was not very good. He only had 30% of his primordial qi left in his body. After the 2 whips, he only had 15% left. Qin Hao was afraid that if he couldn't end the battle quickly with Six-fingered Zither demon, he wouldn't be able to hold on and would directly faint on the stage. Thus, he couldn't delay. He had to get rid of his opponent as soon as possible. Calm down. I need to calm down. Facing the disciples' panic and Qin Hao's urging, six-fingered zither demon took 2 deep breaths and closed his eyes. When he opened his eyes again, he had returned to normal. He sneered. It's my turn to perform. Master, you will definitely win. Love freedom. Wu Bai cheered from the side. As he spoke, his fingers plucked the strings of the guitar in his arms, making a duong sound. Yes, love freedom. Six-fingered zither demon nodded. He was very fond of this disciple who had created his own guitar instrument. Wu Bai's musical attainments were indeed not bad. Thus, six-fingered zither demon had to slap him in the face this time. He had to slap Qin Hao ruthlessly and heavily until he cried for his father and mother. He had to comfort the souls of the second elder and the fifth elder in heaven. Six-fingered zither demon went on the stage. The commotion caused by Qin Hao immediately quieted down. Everyone's attention was focused on the stage again. Six-fingered suzerain has finally come on stage to defeat Li Bai. He is known as the top zither expert in the city and has been given the title of Zither Demon. He has an endless stream of musical attacks. Second elder, Xiao Yin, can't be compared to him. Although Li Bai has a heavenly flame and is considered outstanding, I guarantee that he is no match for six-fingered suzerain. Whispers could be heard from the crowd. Even if Qin Hao won 2 matches, the crowd felt that he would lose in the 3rd match against six-fingered zither demon. Grandfather. Jiang Yu looked at Jiang Bido worriedly. Don't worry. Grandfather understands your intentions. I will not let anything happen to Li Bai. For the first time, Patriarch Jiang had a look of appreciation for Qin Hao. He calmly stroked his beard. He recalled that Qin Hao was only a heaven sage when he first entered the Jiang mansion. In just half a month, he had broken through to the Yuan King realm and possessed the power of the heavenly flame. He had unlimited potential. This surprised the experts of the Jiang mansion. There were not many people who were favored by the patriarch. However, it made sense. Li Bai possessed the power of the heavenly flame. He was a talent that could be molded. After River Feather heard this, he breathed a sigh of relief, the stone hanging in his heart finally falling down. His grandfather was an emperor-level master, the pillar of Lingtai City. With his personal promise, even if the Wu family wanted to attack Li Bai, they absolutely wouldn't be able to do so. Young man, I really did not expect you to use such despicable means against the rock sect. You are obviously a Yuan king, but you hid your cultivation level and killed 2 of our elders. You are really vicious. How could someone like you be the suzerain, leading a group of disciples? Six-fingered zither demon's first sentence was to throw a bucket of dirty water at Qin Hao so that the people of the city would despise the Lingyun school. That's still better than the evil ways of the rock sect. You use music to mess with people's minds. Qin Hao turned the tables and pushed the rock sect to the forefront of the storm. As soon as he said this, the people reacted violently. Suzerain Li's words were reasonable. The rock sect was a group of scum. They could play the flute or the zither, but they were messing with others. Suddenly, the rock sect's reputation took a turn for the worse. You don't know music. Don't talk nonsense and distort the minds of everyone here. The rock sect is famous for being a good sect. Playing the zither can cultivate one's mind. Do you understand? Forget it. You don't understand at all. I don't want to talk nonsense with people who don't understand music. Master, don't think that Lingyun school can ride the rock sect's neck and behave atrociously just because he defeated the 5th elder and 2nd elder. You can only tremble in front of my zither. Six-fingered zither demon flicked his sleeves as he spoke. Along with a flash of light, he revealed his trump card, the ancient zither that was forged by an expert. His father had spent a lot of money and knelt in front of an 8th-grade weaponsmith for 7 days and 7 nights to persuade him to forge the zither. The material was a peak Monarch artifact. Coupled with six-fingered zither demon's 7th-grade Yuan Monarch cultivation, he would not be at a disadvantage against a peak Monarch artifact. Now that he had taken out his zither, it was enough to show how important this battle was to him. It also showed that he was wary of Qin Hao's soul fire. At this moment, Qin Hao stared at the ancient zither. It was about 2 meters long and was suspended in the air in front of six-fingered zither demon. Trash, Qin Hao said disdainfully. Not to mention anything else, just in terms of refining techniques, the refiner who made the ancient zither was 100,000 miles away from Qin Hao. What do you know? I can't be bothered to argue with a person who is about to die. Next, I, six-fingered zither demon, will play a farewell song for you, Li Bai. Listen to the farewell song. Listen to me play the farewell song for you. Six-fingered zither demon smiled. He lifted his sleeves and sat on the stage in front of everyone. The moment he sat down, his fingers seemed to inadvertently pluck the strings. Chapter 896. By the time the others saw it clearly, the white light had already reached Qin Hao's face. It was so fast that he was caught off guard. This scene caused a large number of screams in the surroundings. The speed of the white light was enough to show how powerful the six-fingered Guqin demon's fingers were. If it was in the past, Qin Hao could easily dodge such an attack. Just as he was about to use the water wind steps, the primal qi in his body suddenly stagnated, and his movements were slightly slower. Fortunately, other than his primal qi, Qin Hao's movements were agile enough, and his face was slightly tilted. Whoosh! The white light brushed past his face and cut the edge of the arena, cutting off a rock that was half a person's height. Moreover, it also left a line of blood on Qin Hao's face. Good. Well done. The sect leader's attack is indeed extraordinary. As expected of the six-fingered Guqin demon, the rock sect disciples clapped their hands and praised, their morale greatly boosted. It was just a hair's breadth away from cutting off Qin Hao's head. Qin Hao is simply too lucky. Li Bai, sect leader, master, Qin Hao is injured by the six-fingered Guqin demon in one move. Ling Xiaoxue, Jiang Yu, and Zhang Fan were instantly shocked. The Xinming elders also did not expect that Qin Hao would be at a disadvantage in just one move. Oh no! Qin Hao staggered as he touched his forehead with his left hand. He felt a little dizzy. His primal qi was starting to be unable to support his body. To a martial artist, primal qi was their foundation. Excessive exhaustion was like a person who had not eaten for half a year. Their entire body would be extremely weak. Haha, I have to admit that you're indeed extraordinary for killing the fifth elder and the second elder with your second-level king stage cultivation. Moreover, the second elder's flute had no effect on you. This means that your spiritual grade is at least rank 13. After all, the second elder's spiritual grade is rank 12. The six-fingered Guqin demon was not in a hurry to pursue. He sat leisurely and spoke to Qin Hao with a smile. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone was once again shocked. Li Bai's spiritual grade was so strong, reaching the 13th grade. Rank 13 mentality was enough to crush 99% of the martial artists present. He could definitely be called a genius. The students of Ling Yun School were shocked when they heard the news. He was suddenly ecstatic and then suddenly sad. He was happy that the sect leader had hidden his strength too well. He had used a fake level 3 spiritual power to confuse everyone. His actual spiritual power was level 13, which made him the strongest person in the sect. He was even stronger than Liang Xiaoxi. The sad thing was, from the six-fingered demonic zither's tone, his spiritual grade was still above the sect master's. You're farting, Qin Hao said disdainfully. As a matter of fact, his current psychic power could reach the 18th grade. The spiritual consciousness that spread out could instantly turn all the rock sect disciples into idiots. Unfortunately, in his current weakened state, he couldn't even use his 10th grade mentality. Still so stubborn. Six-fingered zither demon sneered and shook his head. It doesn't matter if you admit it or not. Anyway, I won't be fooled by you like the second elder and use boring music to disturb your mind. Because my spiritual grade is also level 13. It's the real deal. Six-fingered zither demon said something shocking again. Therefore, every sound wave of mine will be converted into a substantial attack. Li Bai, your death is here. Six-fingered zither demon's expression suddenly tensed. He stretched out his left hand and moved his 5 fingers, quickly plucking the strings on the Tongtian Guqin. White light flew out from his fingers one after another. It was faster, fiercer, and more intense than the first attack. It swept toward Qin Hao mercilessly like a violent storm. I can't delay any longer. I must kill him in one blow. Flaming dragon spiral slash. Qin Hao roared. He shook his spirit and put away the immortal binding lock. He raised his hands above his head, and the flames on his body became more and more vigorous. Gradually, a ball of flame slowly condensed between his hands. The ball of flame grew bigger and bigger. If one looked closely, they would find a small dragon swimming inside the ball of flame, letting out a low dragon roar. But before Qin Hao could finish his words, the moment he said the word flaming dragon, a sense of weakness spread throughout his body. His vision suddenly turned black, and the flames in his palms disappeared. Swish, swish, swish. At this time, six-fingered zither demons, sound waves turned into light blades and fell from the sky. They all hit Qin Hao's position, and smoke and dust rose from the arena. Sect Master, how could this be? The Xianming elders were stunned. Counterattack, Li Bai. Jiang Fan didn't believe it. In his impression, Qin Hao was a powerful existence. Jiang Fan even felt that no one in the world could defeat Li Bai. Ha ha ha, it's over. Your Lingyun School's Sect Master is finished. Jiang Fan, you are a piece of trash, and your master is also a piece of trash. Li Bai is going to be riddled with holes after receiving so many attacks from our faction master. You can't compare to me, and your master can't compare my master. In this life, forever, you will be trampled under my feet. You will be defeated by me. Trash, ha ha, ha. Wu Bai was extremely excited and let out an arrogant howl. Grandpa, Jiang Yu grabbed the corner of Jiang Bita's clothes. Don't worry, that kid isn't dead. He's not as weak as you think. Jiang Bita's sharp eyes stared fixedly at the expanding smoke and dust in the arena. His consciousness caught Qin Hao's aura. Although it was still weakening, it didn't dissipate, proving that Qin Hao wasn't dead. It was as if Qin Hao would fly out of the smoke and dust in the next second. Clang, clang, clang. The six-fingered Guqin demon was still wildly plucking the strings. He had been plucking the strings for the time it took to drink a cup of tea. The speed of his hands was so fast that it was dazzling. Then he stopped. He took 2 deep breaths and waited for the smoke and dust to dissipate. He firmly believed that after this attack, Qin Hao would be turned into a pile of meat paste. If he couldn't even die like this, his name as the six-fingered Guqin demon would be wasted. At this moment, the gazes of the hundreds of thousands of people in the martial arts practice field were fixed on the smoke and dust without blinking. The smoke and dust gradually thinned and gradually revealed the truth. They could even see the ground of the martial arts arena clearly. The ground had become bumpy and full of punches. The holes were the size of a fist, and each hole was so deep that they couldn't see the bottom. The six-fingered Guqin demon's attack was really terrifying. Almost 90% of the people had already given up hope that Qin Hao could survive. Ling Xiaoxue didn't have the courage to look. She simply squatted on the ground, covered her eyes, and cried bitterly. But suddenly, a golden dot of light shone out of the smoke and dust that hadn't completely dissipated. At first, the dot of light was as small as the tip of a needle. Then, a gust of wind swept over, and the golden dot of light turned into a golden storm that swept away the smoke and dust. The six-fingered Guqin demon's eyes suddenly opened wide. In front of him was a dazzling golden light that formed the shape of a cover. There was a figure inside the cover, although he was in a sorry state. However, Qin Hao was unscathed. Ridiculous, really ridiculous. I was actually forced to use the golden bell protection by a trashy level 7 yuan monarch. Qin Hao's tone was extremely sarcastic. If he had used the golden bell protection in his peak state, he could have withstood the attack of a yuan venerate powerhouse. He had never imagined that it would be wasted in the hands of a mediocre six-fingered Guqin demon. What a failure. After saying that, the golden bell protection shattered. Its duration was up. Qin Hao's body suddenly soared into the sky. Flames spurted out from the soles of his feet as he soared into the sky like a rocket. This time the entire martial arts practice field exploded. Chapter 897. Xiao Xue look? Sect leader is not dead. Sect leader is not dead. Mu Feiyu cried as he patted Ling Xiaoxue on the shoulder. Ling Xiaoxue raised her head and saw Qin Hao rising into the sky. It was a spectacular sight. I knew that you would not be defeated so easily. The corners of Jiang Fan's eyes were moist. He wiped them with the back of his hand, only to realize that he was crying. He could not believe it. Not bad at all. The patriarch of the Jiang family nodded in approval. He had decided that regardless of the outcome of this battle, he would acknowledge Qin Hao and accept him as the son-in-law of the Jiang family. It was already a miracle that a level 2 Yuan Monarch could survive a level 7 Yuan Monarch. It really makes me break out in cold sweat. The tall and skinny elder of the Xianming elders heaved a sigh of relief and smiled at the short and fat elder beside him. As long as Qin Hao was not dead, the two of them would not be in danger. Although sect leader is out of danger, his aura is still weakening. The short and fat elder frowned. He could not understand what was happening to Qin Hao. When the six-fingered zither demon saw that Qin Hao was not injured after taking all his attacks and had even risen into the sky to counterattack, he was furious. This time, he used his right hand to strum the zither. He was born with 6 fingers on his right hand. Let's see if he can escape faster, or if I can play the zither faster. Let's add some screams and wails to the beat. With an explosive roar, his 6 fingers moved at the same time. Wave after wave of even more turbulent sound waves rang out, transforming into fierce flashes of white light that chased after Qin Hao. In an instant, the intensity of the white light was even greater than when he had strummed the zither with his left hand. After all, he had 6 fingers on his right hand. In the blink of an eye, Qin Hao's speed was greatly reduced due to the lack of Yuan Qi in his body. It was only a matter of time before Byron caught up with him. With a buzz, a pair of flaming wings spread out from Qin Hao's back. It was dazzling. With the help of the primary wings, Qin Hao's speed recovered, and he immediately pulled away from the white light that was chasing after him. Moreover, Qin Hao's movement technique was more flexible. Occasionally, when a white light caught up to him, he would be able to dodge it in an arc F *CK. The 6-fingered zither demon became anxious. Qin Hao was like a fly hovering in the sky, much more difficult to deal with than before. He clenched his teeth, and this time, both of his hands reached out. His 11 fingers began to randomly sweep across the zither. The sound wave that he swept out were much stronger than the sound waves that he played. Everyone look! 6-fingered sect master is using both hands to play the zither. This is the first time I've seen 6-fingered sect master act so crazily. Everyone saw that as the 6-fingered demonic zither waved its hands wildly, the white light that was shot out became even larger. Previously, it was a small flying knife. At this moment, they were like large blades that were extremely sharp. Qin Hao immediately felt the pressure multiplying. I can't go on like this. I really can't hold on any longer. As Qin Hao dodged, the origin wings on his back became illusory, as if they would dissipate at any time. He had to get rid of the 6-fingered demonic zither in one move. He estimated that if he could defeat the 6-fingered demonic zither, who was a level 7 Yuan Monarch, he would have to raise his cultivation level by 1 more level and reach the level of a level 3 Yuan Monarch. The key was that Qin Hao did not have enough origin energy to break through the seal in his body. Yes, Qin Hao had not suppressed his cultivation level. Instead, he had sealed it. Otherwise, how could he deceive the detection of an emperor-level expert like Jiang Bida? No matter how profound a concealment technique was, there would be a time when it would reveal a flaw. However, by sealing one's cultivation level, one would be able to display one's full strength. Currently, Qin Hao only had less than 10% of his origin energy left. It was already difficult for him to maintain his origin wings, let alone break through the seal in his body. What should I do? What should I do? For the first time, Qin Hao felt that he had dug a huge hole for himself. It would be great if he had chi replenishing pills or major primordial pills. However, it had been a long time since he had refined pills that were useless to him. After all, Qin Hao possessed a divine-grade cultivation technique, the indestructible samsara art. The indestructible samsara art's dragon jade art could automatically absorb the spirit energy of heaven and earth for his own use. Thus, he did not have to worry about running out of origin energy. That's right. How could he have forgotten about the dragon jade art? Indestructible samsara art, activate. Qin Hao was startled, and joy filled his heart. At that moment, the dragon jade art, which had been hidden in his body for a long time and had never been used, started to circulate rapidly. A sacred aura immediately spread and swept across the sky, causing the hearts of hundreds of thousands of people to tremble. Instinctively, everyone looked up and saw that Qin Hao was enveloped by a strange purple light that looked like purple origin energy. Purple origin energy represented a Yuan Venerate powerhouse. Furthermore, everyone also saw a whirlpool appear in front of Qin Hao. The whirlpool was like a small dragon circling in circles, stirring up the spirit energy of heaven and earth and spinning rapidly. Eventually, it turned into a mass of whirlpools. The size of the whirlpool also kept expanding. It started to expand from the size of a wash basin to the size of a moo in the blink of an eye. It was as if a huge black hole had suddenly appeared in the clear sky. A torrential suction force swept through the black hole, causing a huge amount of spirit energy of heaven and earth to surge into the black hole. Eventually, the spirit energy flowed through Qin Hao's palms and into his dantian. Qin Hao's aura, which had been weakening, suddenly started to strengthen rapidly again. This scene was very spectacular. Many martialists even felt that the origin energy within their bodies was flowing out of their bodies uncontrollably and converging toward the black hole high up in the sky. Oh my God, what exactly is that huge black hole? Isn't it too frightening? My origin energy is flowing out of my body uncontrollably. Damn it. The martialists were alarmed. They revealed their cultivation bases, and balls of different colors rose one after another, trying to resist the suction force of the black hole and protect their origin energy. However, they still could not stop the origin energy from converging toward Qin Hao. I feel that the sect master's aura has suddenly become stronger. It's not becoming stronger. It's continuously strengthening. At this rate, it won't be long before the sect master becomes a level 3 Yuan Monarch. The disciples of the Lingyun school were ecstatic. However, they could not help but feel fear in their eyes. Weird, it's really weird. What kind of technique is that fellow using? Patriarch Jiang looked up and observed Qin Hao seriously, not letting go of any details. Then he shook his head. He could not see through it. He could not imagine how Qin Hao could actively absorb the spirit energy of heaven and earth when martialists could only passively absorb it. Some of the weaker martialists could not even resist Qin Hao's technique. What kind of technique was that? It was too amazing and too domineering. He had to make Li Bai impart the technique to absorb the spirit energy of heaven and earth to fan her. How is this possible? The six-fingered zither demon was so shocked that he forgot to play the zither. After such a long time, Li Bai was not tired at all. Instead, his origin energy was getting stronger and stronger. He was about to become a level 3 Yuan Monarch. No, he could not be allowed to successfully advance. Ling Xiao rebuff. The six-fingered zither demon roared. Suddenly, he carried the Tongtian Guqin and rose from the battle arena. A pair of 3-meter-long wings spread out behind him as he rushed toward the huge whirlpool in the sky. He was going to use his ultimate move. He had to stop Qin Hao from advancing. He had to use his ultimate move to destroy that terrifying whirlpool. At this moment, inside the whirlpool, Qin Hao smiled. He could clearly see the six-fingered zither demon rushing over. The six-fingered zither demon had raised his cultivation base to the peak and was obviously preparing to use his ultimate move. Unfortunately, it was too late. The spirit energy of heaven and earth that Qin Hao had absorbed was enough to break through the shackles of the level 3 Yuan Monarch. Chapter 898. The six-fingered Guqin demon climbed into the sky and stopped about 100 meters away from the whirlpool. He placed the Guqin beside him and aimed it at the whirlpool in front of him. He grabbed the strings of Guqin and pulled it with his dream power. Creak! He pulled the strings 2 meters away and let go of them. He then shouted, wailing ghosts and howling wolves, a wonderful quintet. Buzz! The strings of the Guqin bounced back and vibrated on the Guqin, forming 5 powerful sound waves. The sound waves shot out like 5 arrows. Each of them was about 10 meters long and extremely huge. They surged into the whirlpool and penetrated it directly. Bang! At this moment, the whirlpool collapsed and disintegrated. Six-fingered Sect Master is so powerful. He destroyed Li Bai's whirlpool with one blow. The winner is decided. The winner is Six-fingered Sect Master. Ha ha ha! The disciples of the rock and roll sect were excited and cheered for their victory. In order to cooperate, they even played their instruments excitedly in the square. However, all of a sudden, a figure appeared in the disintegrating whirlpool in the sky. It was Qin Hao. Qin Hao raised his hands above his head, and a ball of flames gathered in his palms. This time, the gathering was not as slow as the first time. In the blink of an eye, the flames expanded to 100 meters in size. It was like a second sun in the sky. It was extremely spectacular and shocking. How can this be? The six-fingered Guqin demon was stunned. His Ling Xiao quintet only shattered the whirlpool, but did not kill Li Bai, who was inside. He could not believe it. After all, he had used this move to kill an 8th stage Yuan Monarch. However, Qin Hao is only a stage 2 Yuan Monarch. No, he is not a stage 2. The six-fingered Guqin demon looked at Qin Hao with fear. Before he could finish his sentence, flaming dragons spiral slash. Boom! The huge fireball that Qin Hao was holding flew out of his hands and toward the six-fingered Guqin demon. When it left his hands, it had already turned into flames that filled the sky. A huge fire dragon that was 30 meters long wriggled out of the flames. It roared and hit the chest of the six-fingered Guqin demon, knocking him to the ground. The six-fingered Zither demon was severely injured. He immediately spat out a fountain of blood, and his body could not stop moving. In an instant, the sky was filled with shredded clothes and fresh blood. The fire dragon wrapped itself around the six-fingered demonic Zither and slashed its claws at his body. The six-fingered Zither demon let out a heart-wrenching scream as it was completely devoured by the fire dragon. Like a falling meteor, it crashed into the center of the arena. Rumble! Amidst the earth-shattering noise, the crowd below quickly dodged. Even so, those who were slightly slower were sent flying by the falling flames. When he landed on the ground, his body emitted a burnt smell, and he fainted on the spot. The six-fingered demonic Zither smashed a crater with a radius of 50 meters. As the flames in the pit gradually extinguished, the six-fingered Zither demon, whose body was tattered and badly mangled, was revealed. I am a level 7 Yuan Monarch, who possesses a peak Monarch weapon, the sky-piercing Guqin. How could I lose to a level 3 ant? The six-fingered Zither demon stuttered. His face was covered in blood. The sky-piercing Guqin, which he regarded as his life, had already been burned to ashes. He struggled to support his body with one hand and stood up while trembling. He turned around and looked at the edge of the crater. At the edge of the crater stood a group of worried rock sect disciples. He accurately found Wu Bai among the disciples and said apologetically, "I'm sorry, my disciple. My performance this time was out of tune." Bang! After saying that, he fell straight into the crater and lost all signs of life. At this moment, Qin Hao, who had unlocked the shackles of the level 3 seal and seemed to have been reborn, slowly floated down from the sky and landed on the stage. He first glanced at the corpse of the six-fingered Zither demon in the crater. Then, he looked at the rock sect disciples. He looked down at them and said indifferently, "Originally, this attack of mine could have completely wiped out all of you. However, I feel that there is no need for that. This is because from now on, all of you have already understood the strength of the Lingyun school. Ah, he won. Sect Master won. Not only did he win, but his aura is even stronger than before. Sect Master has successfully become a level 3 Yuan Monarch and killed the six-fingered Zither demon with the power of the alien fire. I didn't expect this. I really didn't expect this. Ah, in an instant, the Lingyun school disciples cried in pain. Many of them knelt on the ground, raised their heads, clenched their fists, and howled at the sky to vent the depression in their hearts. Ever since they came to Lingtai's city, the sect had been looked down upon and looked down upon by others. However, from today onwards, no one dared to look down on the sect. The rock sect disciples howled along with them. However, the Lingyun school disciples were excited and agitated. On the other hand, the rock sect disciples were heavy and sorrowful. Their sect master was dead. This child is a talent for great things. You have a good eye. Old man will hold a family banquet tomorrow and invite the entire Lingyun school sect to propose marriage for you in front of everyone. In the crowd, the patriarch of the Jiang family stroked his beard and laughed heartily. He kept praising Riveryu. Riveryu blushed and lowered her head, not daring to face him. In this battle, she had broken out in a cold sweat for Qin Hao. Watching Qin Hao rise and fall, sometimes strong and sometimes weak, she had been on tenterhooks. Especially when the vortex was dispersed by the six-fingered demonic Zither, just now, she couldn't help but want to directly fly over and intervene in the battle. However, reality proved that the man that she, Riveryu, liked was a true dragon among men. Kill him. Avenge our sect master. Li Bai, how dare you? Elites of the Wu family, listen to my order. Get on the stage and kill Li Bai. However, at this moment, several groups of people shouted. Following the order of the Wu family's patriarch, more than 600 rock sect disciples surrounded the battle stage in a frenzy, wanting to take revenge on Qin Hao. Jiang Bida snorted coldly. His body suddenly disappeared on the spot. When he reappeared, he was already floating above the battle stage. The aura of an emperor-level powerhouse was released, forming a mass of air. The air spread out, and those Wu family experts and rock sect disciples were crazily surrounding him. All the rock sect disciples were involuntarily sent flying and landed heavily on the ground. Do you think you can touch the people of my Jiang family just because you want to? Jiang Bida coldly swept his gaze across the audience. He was like a god in Lingtai's city, majestic and imposing. He killed my master, Wu Bai said angrily. He did not forget to pluck the strings of the guitar in his arms. When he thought of the six-fingered demonic Zither's tragic death, he could not help but shed tears. He felt that his avant-garde music concept was only appreciated by the six-fingered demonic Zither. Now his soulmate was gone. Blame it on your master for being trash. His skills were inferior. At this moment, Zhang Fan stepped onto the stage while rubbing his fists. He did not hide the provocation in his eyes at Wu Bai. Then, he solemnly bowed to Qin Hao. Congratulations on winning this battle, Master. Qin Hao nodded. He turned to look at the Wu family's patriarch and said, I have an agreement with the six-fingered demonic Zither. Success or failure depends on man. Life or death depends on heaven. As the Wu family's patriarch, don't you have the courage to accept defeat? You still want to act shamelessly? Order your family members to besiege him? Me? What a joke. You. The Wu family's patriarch blushed and his face twisted crazily. When he heard the surrounding people pointing at him, he was so angry that he snorted coldly. He could only temporarily give up the idea of revenge. In the end, it was all the six-fingered demonic Zither's fault. He was useless. In short, my rock sect will not let you go. When the old patriarch returns, you and I will have another battle. When the time comes, I will make sure that you, Li Bai, die without a burial place. I will make sure that no one in your Lingyun school will be spared. Chapter 899. Then he looked at Jiang Fan and asked, Are you scared? No. Jiang Fan rubbed his finger under his nose and looked at Wu Bai with narrowed eyes. Qin Hao had said that the master would fight the first round and the disciple would fight the second round. Next, It was time for Jiang Fan to wash away his shame. But the masters of the Jiang family did not agree. They shouted anxiously, "Old ancestor!" Qin Hao frowned and looked at Jiang Bida, who was floating in the air. "Old man, you gave your grandson to me to teach. Don't you want to see if he has improved?" "Old ancestor, you can't agree to Li Bai. The Jiang family can't joke about Jiang Fan's life." "All of you shut up," Jiang Bida shouted. His body descended and landed in front of Qin Hao. He saw absolute confidence on Qin Hao's face. Jiang Bida took a deep breath. "I believe in Master Li's ability. Fan, Grandpa will give you a chance to show yourself today. The honor of the Jiang family is in your hands." After that, he walked down the stage and left the stage to his grandson to let him do his best. "I won't let Grandpa down." Jiang Fan was overjoyed and bowed to Jiang Bida's back. He had absolute confidence in fighting against Wu Bai. After all, he was 2 levels higher than Wu Bai, but the prerequisite was Qin Hao had to unlock the seal on his Dantian and Sea of Qi so that he could regain his previous strength. At this time, Qin Hao naturally knew what to do. He waved his hand, and a stream of tranquil water qi entered Jiang Fan's body. It cleansed his meridians and dissolved the effects of the dissipating powder in his body. The moment the effects of the dissipating powder were dissolved, the primordial qi in Jiang Fan's Dantian ran automatically along his meridians. Surges of power stimulated his nerves, making him feel excited. Boom! An orange light shone on his body. Jiang Fan's cultivation had returned, and perhaps it was because his primordial qi had been sealed for too long. But when he regained this power, Jiang Fan felt that he was stronger than before. It might sound unreal, but when Jiang Fan clenched his fist, he realized that the strength of his power had indeed increased. This meant that he was about to break through to the heavenly saint level. "Is this the surprise that Master mentioned?" Jiang Fan mumbled. He had never thought that after a person's cultivation had been sealed for a long time, the concentration of Yuan Qi in his Dantian would become stronger and stronger. At this moment, Jiang Fan was even more confident. He walked to the edge of the arena, pointed at Wu Bai's face, and said, "Come on up, I'll King kill you. Reject him. My Wu clan will not fight this battle." The Wu family's head and the Wu family's experts said in unison. But Wu Bai ignored it. He tapped the ground with the tip of his foot, and his body flew up like a giant bird. He instantly landed on the stage and stood in front of Jiang Fan. The Wu family head's face suddenly changed. As his father, he knew very well how powerful his son was. He was no match for Jiang Fan at all. "Father, don't worry. I'm not the same as before. In this battle, watch me win glory for my family." Wu Bai gritted his teeth and said. His fierce expression hid his great confidence. This made Jiang Fan slightly surprised. He had never seen such a bold side of Wu Bai. If it was in the past, it would have been impossible. Especially when Wu Bai saw that his Yuan Qi had become stronger, he still dared to say such confident words. "Hee, Jiang Fan, are you surprised? Next, I'll make you even more surprised. And you," Wu Bai pointed at Qin Hao, "you dare to kill my master, so I'll kill your disciple. Once Jiang Fan dies, let's see how you explain it to old man Jiang." "Oh no, Lingyun School will be destroyed because of this. You want my master to take the blame? Dream on," Jiang Fan said coldly. At this time, Qin Hao walked to Jiang Fan's side and whispered something in his ear before walking down the arena. Qin Hao said, "Don't be too careless. That kid might have a hidden card." In fact, Qin Hao had seen through Wu Bai's confidence at a glance. Wu Bai was not 2 levels lower than Jiang Fan. Instead, he was 3 levels higher than Jiang Fan. He was a level 3 heavenly saint. If nothing went wrong, Jiang Fan would lose. If Qin Hao could see through Wu Bai's cultivation, as an emperor-level expert, Jiang Bida could naturally see through as well. What made Qin Hao curious was that even though Jiang Fan knew that his grandson was weak, old ancestor Jiang still wanted Jiang Fan to fight. Was he not worried at all? Or did he think that Qin Hao would have a way to let Jiang Fan win? "The old man is testing me," Qin Hao mumbled as he walked down the stone steps. That should be Jiang Bida's real goal. And Qin Hao did have a way to let Jiang Fan win. For example, the Sacred Soul Pill. As long as Jiang Fan took 2 pills, he could guarantee that he would successfully break through to the Heavenly Saint level and be on par with Wu Bai, or even surpass him. After all, the 10 Sacred Soul Pills that Qin Hao had created were all unparalleled pills. In fact, other than the Sacred Soul Pill as his trump card, Qin Hao had also given Jiang Fan an even more powerful weapon. To be precise, it was a set of techniques. However, Jiang Fan did not know about it. I'll only use one move to make you get lost. At this time, Jiang Fan made his move. He took out the Jiang family's secret technique, the Mid-Earth Tear technique, the Silver Moon Fist, and attacked first. His body flashed across the stage like a shadow, and with the sound of the chains under his feet, he appeared in front of Wu Bai in the blink of an eye. His left fist shot out a sun. His right fist shot out a crescent moon. At the same time, he punched Wu Bai's chest. Bam! Bam! Wu Bai did not even have a chance to dodge. Ha ha ha! You're as useless as always. Jiang Fan was overjoyed, and both of his fists hit his opponent. However, there was no scene of Wu Bai being sent flying. In the past, he could not even take a punch from Jiang Fan. But this time, Wu Bai did not even move an inch. Ha ha! Are you surprised? Seeing the surprise on Jiang Fan's face, Wu Bai laughed. You're not the only one who has become stronger. I've become stronger too. This is all thanks to you. 3 days ago, I beat you up on the street. Six-fingered demonic Zither was afraid that the Jiang family would take revenge. So, he took out the Blood Lotus spiritual pill that the rock and roll sect had kept for many years and gave it to me. Even six-fingered demonic Zither was reluctant to eat the Blood Lotus spiritual pill, but he gave it all to me. I have to admit that he's a good master. Wu Bai's eyes glistened with tears as he looked at six-fingered demonic Zither's corpse in the crater below the stage. Then, hatred filled his heart as he said with a ferocious expression, with the help of the Blood Lotus spiritual pill's power, I broke through the Heavenly Saint realm and reached 3rd level Heavenly Saint. At that moment, even I was shocked by the effects of the Blood Lotus spiritual pill. In fact, even the Wu family could not take out such a precious pill. Originally, I had planned to repay the six-fingered demonic Zither, but unfortunately, Li Bai killed him. I will never have the chance to thank him. So, I want you dead. As soon as he said the word dead, Wu Bai suddenly played the guitar in his arms. Whoosh! A sound wave blasted out, and the sound wave blasted Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan felt a monstrous force hit him, and his feet left the ground as he flew backward involuntarily. At this moment, the clothes in front of his chest were completely soaked with blood. Wu Bai's sound wave had penetrated Jiang Fan's body and destroyed his internal organs. Chapter 900. Ha, my son is just too awesome. The Wu family head was overjoyed. Seeing Wu Bai so valiantly beating Jiang Fan to the point that he couldn't resist for the first time in history, he couldn't help but shout out in excitement. Love freedom. The Wu family clansmen raised their right arms, raising their fists above their heads to show their support for Wu Bai. Little brother. Looking at Jiang Fan, who was getting more and more injuries, River Feather's heart ached. She pulled out a flexible sword from her waist and rushed towards the stage. However, she didn't get what she wanted. Jiang Bida reached out and grabbed River Feather's arm, pulling her to the ground. Although Jiang Bida was worried, he was carefully observing the battle. He noticed that Jiang Fan's injuries weren't serious. As Wu Bai said, he didn't use any killing moves, causing fatal injuries. In addition, Jiang Bida secretly looked at Qin Hao. He found that Qin Hao was still as calm and collected as before. But on the stage, Jiang Fan was in a miserable state. Wu Bai's cultivation was 3 levels higher than his. The situation was completely one-sided as he was suppressed. In a short while, Jiang Fan's body was dripping with blood. His clothes were torn in many places, revealing shocking wounds. The more he fought, the more difficult it was. Not to mention resisting. Even dodging became an extravagant hope for Jiang Fan. Every time he tried to avoid Wu Bai's attack, an irresistible heavy feeling would come from his feet. Even now, Jiang Fan's feet were still bound by Qin Hao's iron chains. He didn't know what the iron chains were made of. He used many methods but still couldn't break them. The iron chains severely slowed down Jiang Fan's speed, creating a great obstacle for him. Moreover, it crazily consumed Jiang Fan's yuan qi. Plop! At this time, Wu Bai, who was getting braver and braver, kicked Jiang Fan to the edge of the stage. The sound of his ribs breaking rang out, almost kicking him off the stage. Jiang Fan was suspended in midair. His 5 fingers exerted strength, his hands pale as he desperately clung to the edge of the stage, desperately struggling. "Li Bai, screw you!" Jiang Fan angrily roared. "Since you've liberated my Dantian, why can't you remove these damned iron chains as well?" Qin Hao smiled, knowing why he was scolding him. At this time, a jade-like sword with soaring spiritual energy appeared in his hand. Qin Hao suddenly slashed at Jiang Fan, his attack extremely fierce. This scene caused everyone to cry out. As the master, Qin Hao actually tried to kill his own disciple. "Li, what are you doing?" River's Jiang Fan's eyes immediately turn us in the next second. Qin houses his actions. Crash! Along with the sound of something breaking, the Taishu divine sword drew out a stream of light and shattered the chains that bound Jiang Fan's feet. Jiang Fan instantly felt the ground beneath his feet lighten. He was like an eagle that had been released from its cage. He channeled his essence and flew onto the stage. Calm despite the waves of zest, even waves that S-time that Qin Hao silently recited the Waterwind Divine Steps cultivation technique. His charming voice secretly traveled to Jiang Fan's ears. When Jiang Fan went up on the stage again, he heard Qin Hao's voice transmission. His body suddenly trembled, and a bright path to the heavens seemed to have opened up in his mind. At the same time, a blurry figure appeared in his mind. The figure's movement technique was ethereal, and his feet moved in a strange manner. And the mysterious footwork was slowly demonstrated to Jiang Fan. "From today onwards, you are Qin Hao's 6th official disciple, Jiang Fan." Below the stage, Qin Hao retracted his enormous consciousness. Just now, he had invaded Jiang Fan's mind and demonstrated the Waterwind Divine Steps. At this time, Wu Bai's attack once again rained down. "Very good. You didn't disappoint me. If you lost your will to fight because of my kick and gave up on this contest, I, Wu Bai, will despise you for the rest of your life. But don't think that Li Bai has cut off the chains for you. Son, you, Jiang Fan, can fly into the sky and become a dragon or phoenix. That's absolutely impossible." Loud a wail. Tian loves rock and roll. As he spoke, Wu Bai hugged his guitar, and a ring of turbulent sound waves spread out from his body, crazily pouncing toward Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan was like a fool. He stood in place, not moving at all. He was trapped in the Waterwind Divine Steps, unable to extricate himself. "Little brother, what's wrong? Are you really going to give up?" River Feather shouted loudly. If Jiang Fan really accepted his fate in this battle, it would be too disappointing. Jiang Fan. At this time, old ancestor Jiang couldn't bear it anymore. He roared, trying to wake up Jiang Fan, who had fallen into a daze. After all, the sound waves that Wu Bai played this time were 10 times more powerful than before. It was as if he had used his full strength. If he was hit, the consequences would be unimaginable. Just as Wu Bai was getting closer and closer to Jiang Fan, and everyone was furious. Whoosh! 2 sharp lights flashed in Jiang Fan's eyes, and he came back to his senses. And in an instant, he dodged Wu Bai's pouncing attack like a gust of wind. What's going on? What a fast movement technique! The audience below the stage was shocked. Just now, Jiang Fan was still moving slowly. But in an instant, it was as if he had changed into a different person. His footsteps lightly moved, as if he was flying. How is this possible? Wu Bai was also stunned. He hugged his guitar awkwardly, staring at Jiang Fan weakly as he slipped away from him. However, he couldn't react. "Very good, you're not too stupid," Qin Hao murmured softly, revealing a smile. The Jiang family had indeed produced 2 Emperor Realm experts. Jiang Fan's talent wasn't bad. His first step already had the embryonic form of the water wind divine steps. Master, Jiang Fan's eyes were a little dry. Subconsciously, he looked at Qin Hao, although the figure practicing the steps in his mind looked very blurry. However, it was emitting Qin Hao's aura. Jiang Fan knew that it was his heartless and cruel master. How could he suddenly change so fast? He just cut off the dog chain on his leg. I don't believe it. I don't *King believe it. Wailing Ghost and Howling Wolf Quintet. Wu Bai's face suddenly became ferocious. He turned around and madly strummed the guitar with one hand, creating an even more turbulent sound wave. The melody he played seemed to have the shadow of the six-fingered demonic zither. It was obvious that he was using the six-fingered demonic zither's ultimate skill, the quintet. Suddenly, 5 huge sound wave arrows flew out, piercing toward Jiang Fan with incomparable sharpness. He was going to kill him. This scene immediately caused tens of thousands of people to scream. After all, the six-fingered demonic zither's musical attainments were not to be underestimated. It was impossible for the young master of the Jiang family to handle it. However, in the next second, Jiang Fan used his actions to return a slap to everyone's face for Qin Hao. Almost subconsciously, Jiang Fan used the water wind divine steps. The distance of his steps was suddenly big, then small, then slanted, and then turned slightly with the tip of his foot. In just one move, he had dodged all 5 sound wave arrows that were coming at him. Jiang Fan's figure was constantly moving, making it impossible for people to predict his next move. In fact, the distance he covered at this time was completely determined by the length of the chains that bound him. He had been bound for more than a month. If he took too long a stride, the skin of his feet would be abraded. If he took too short a stride, the chains would drag him to the ground, doubling his stamina. Jiang Fan had long been used to the days of wearing chains. He had already figured out how to avoid abrading his flesh and reduce the pain. And this experience was the main point of the Waterwind Divine Steps. In truth, Qin Hao had taught him every step of the way with great care, laying down the foundation for Jiang Fan's growth. Oh my God, when did the young master of the Jiang family become so cool? He could dodge all of young Master Wu's quintet with just one step. Chapter 901. As an Emperor Realm expert, his eyesight was extremely good. He could see that Jiang Fan's footwork was not ordinary, and its rank was definitely not inferior to the Jiang family's strongest technique. That technique was a low heaven rank technique, and it was Jiang Bida's trump card when he fought with others. In terms of subtlety, Jiang Fan's footwork was even above that low heaven rank technique. Even as an Emperor Realm expert, Jiang Bida could not see the exact rank of Jiang Fan's footwork. This Li Bai actually possessed such a profound and unfathomable skill. How can this be? As Jiang Fan dodged the Wailing Ghost Quintet, Wu Bai was once again shocked. Wonderful, truly wonderful. My body has never been so light before. It even gives me the illusion that I'm stepping into the void. Jiang Fan looked at his feet in surprise, and then beckoned Wu Bai with his finger. Come and chase me. As long as you can touch me, even if it's just a touch of my clothes, I will kowtow to you and admit defeat. Ha ha. With that, Jiang Fan began to move around Wu Bai with the Aqua Wind steps. But Wu Bai really could not touch Jiang Fan. It was as if the other party's feet were smeared with oil. He ran faster than a rabbit, and his whereabouts were unpredictable. Even if I can't catch you, so what? I don't believe you can keep running. The arena is only so big. Let's see if you can stop to catch a breath. To put it bluntly, you're just a profound saint. Your essence will run out sooner or later. And I'm a heavenly saint level 3. My essence is several times denser than yours. Once you run out of energy, Wu Bai's meaning was that he could kill Jiang Fan in one strike. So he simply stopped chasing. He could not catch up anyway. No matter how Jiang Fan ran, he could not get out of the arena. What Wu Bai needed to do was to wait for Jiang Fan to get tired. This made Jiang Fan feel extremely awkward. Wu Bai was not stupid and had hit the nail on the head. But Jiang Fan could not stop. As long as he was slightly slower, Wu Bai would definitely have a chance to attack. Wu Bai's realm was much higher than Jiang Fan's. My son is smarter than others. The Jiang family will definitely lose face in this battle. The Jiang family will probably have no descendants. The Wu family patriarch roared proudly. His words attracted the unanimous agreement of the Wu family's experts. At this time, a medicinal fragrance suddenly drifted over from the crowd. It was incomparably strong, causing those who smelled it to feel refreshed. What a pure medicinal fragrance! Where did it come from? The Wu clan leader could not help but take a few deep breaths. He licked his lips in an intoxicated manner. His gaze followed the direction of the medicinal fragrance. Including all the masters of the Wu family. When they saw it, they were all shocked. Below the battle stage, 2 purple gold light spots appeared in Qin Hao's palm. He flicked his finger. Chapter 902. With Qin Hao's weakened cultivation base, he certainly couldn't kill dozens of Wu family Yuan monarchs with one strike, let alone injure the 3 Yuan venerates. He just wanted to delay them for a second. That was enough. And Qin Hao did it. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Jiang Tiangang led the Jiang residence's experts into the sky and formed a human wall, blocking the Wu family members and making it difficult for them to take even half a step forward. Boom! An extremely oppressive rumbling sound suddenly spread out from the martial arena. At this moment, time seemed to stop. Hundreds of thousands of Lingtai city citizens widened their eyes when they saw Jiang Fan's left fist penetrate Wu Bai's chest. It went through his chest and came out through his back. The bloody fist was still holding Wu Bai's broken heart. He had really killed the first young master of the Wu family. Jiang Fan gasped for breath as he stood in front of Wu Bai, maintaining his punching posture. His breathing was heavy, and his eyes were wide open. Jiang Fan wasn't tired, but he was very excited with a trace of panic, like a child who had made a big mistake and wanted to use his heavy breathing to suppress the fear that flashed through his heart. I have fantasized about killing you countless times, but never once has it been as real as this. You son of a bitch, I've finally killed you. Ha 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 ha. Jiang Fan laughed as he clenched his fist, crushing Wu Bai's heart into mush. He then pushed the corpse with his right hand, and the first young master of the Wu family, who had already lost all signs of life, fell off the stage and rolled into the crater, lying next to the corpse of the 6-fingered demonic zither. Both of them had fallen. Jiang Fan stood on the stage, smiling foolishly as he watched coldly. He had always wanted to kill Wu Bai, as the other party was his old enemy. But if it weren't for Qin Hao, he might not have had this opportunity in his lifetime. Today, Jiang Fan had not only washed away the humiliation from 3 days ago, but he had also solved a lifelong problem. This was of great significance to both Jiang Fan and the Jiang residents. A mournful wail exploded in the air like a thunderclap and spread throughout the entire Lingtai city. The Wu family's patriarch had gone mad. His hair was messy and his eyes were bloodshot. He ignored the Jiang family's great ancestor who was standing in front of him and reached out his hand and pointed at Jiang Fan on the arena. Then, he turned to Qin Hao below the stage and said, "All clansmen, listen up. Today, we will fight the Jiang family to the death. Spare no expense, and tear Jiang Fan and his master into pieces. They will pay for my son's death." Kill them. After he finished roaring, he turned into a ray of light and pounced toward Jiang Fan. How could Jiang Bida let him do as he wished? With a simple wave of his hand, an emperor-level force rolled up the Wu clan's patriarch like a straw and smashed him to the ground. The members of the Wu clan who rushed toward Jiang Fan and Qin Hao were also vulnerable in front of the experts of the Jiang clan, led by Jiang Tiangang. In terms of status, the Wu family was not considered weak in Daliao. However, in terms of cultivation, the Wu clan's patriarch was far inferior to great ancestor Jiang and Jiang Tiangang. No matter how strong a peak Yuan venerate was, he was still like a grasshopper in front of 2 Yuan emperors. Perhaps due to his misgivings about the Wu clan's status in Daliao, great ancestor Jiang did not directly kill him. He only stopped him from attacking Jiang Fan again and again. Even so, the Wu clan's patriarch did not know fatigue. Every time he was struck to the ground, he would rush back like a madman. At this moment, the hundreds of thousands of people in the square had already turned into frightened birds and fled in all directions to avoid getting involved in the dispute between the two great clans and becoming funerary objects. As for the people of the city lord manor, they were so frightened that they hid in a corner of the square. Although the city lord personally took the lead and roared a majestic stop, warning, he had no intention of stopping them. He was just bluffing. He knew very well that his position as the city lord was just a decoration in Lingtai City. He could not afford to offend the Jiang clan and the Wu clan. Seeing that the situation was getting more and more chaotic, the Wu clan's pestering made Jiang Tiangang and the Jiang clan's masters gradually lose their patience. Murderous intent rose in their hearts. At this moment, a group of cavalry wearing golden armor suddenly broke into the martial arts arena. They ignored the battle between the two great clans and went straight to the battle arena. Then, the leader of the cavalry team, a middle-aged general with a strong aura, stepped down from his horse majestically. He stepped onto the battle arena and kicked Jiang Fan down. He took out the imperial edict from his arms and said in a deep voice, "By the will of the heavens, Emperor Shao." The imperial edict says, "Crash." The two great clans who were fighting in full swing, whether it was the crazy Wu clan's patriarch or Jiang Tiangang who had lost his patience, all stopped. Other than the Jiang clan's great ancestor Jiang Bida, everyone else was like a group of frightened bastards, collectively lying under the battle arena. They were trembling. Among them was the city lord who was watching the battle from afar. He ran faster than a rabbit. His exquisite steps were faster than Qin Hao's waterwind steps. He pounced like a wild dog and bit at the feet of the general. In the 14th year of Mingsheng, on the 5th day of the 8th month, Her Highness Jingyue came to the city and began hunting in the Lanchuan Mountains. Emperor Shao ordered the city lord's mansion, Jiang Mansion, Wu Mansion, Sun Mansion, and others to seal off the entire Lanchuan Mountains to protect the safety of Her Highness and prevent the remnants of the rebel army. There must be no delay in harassment. Patriarchs, please accept the imperial edict. After the general finished reading, he rolled up the imperial edict and was about to hand it to the city lord. When he looked up, he noticed that everyone was covered in blood. He frowned and said, "Hey, what happened to you all?" Crack. Everyone felt like they were struck by lightning. The princess came to the city. Her Highness Shao Han came to the Lanchuan Mountains to hunt in person. Oh my God. While everyone was shocked, Qin Hao's body also suddenly shook. He muttered absent-mindedly, "Shao Han is coming. On the 5th day of the 8th month, she will arrive in Lingtai City the day after tomorrow. This. Don't be stunned. I don't care what happened between you all." In short, during the hunting period, if anything happens to Princess Jingyue, or if her mood is disturbed in the slightest, with Emperor Zhao's temper, you all know that he only has one daughter. My advice to you all, let go of your personal grudges. If you incur the wrath of Emperor Shao, except for old Master Jiang, no one in Lingtai City will survive. Humph. The general snorted and threw the imperial edict at the city lord's face. He stepped down from the stage, mounted his horse, and led the royal knights, turned into a cloud of dust, and disappeared. He must immediately return to Shao Han's side to be responsible for the princess's safety. It was the duty of their team. The princess was already on her way. Based on her traveling speed, it would take her 3 days to reach Lingtai City. Lingtai City was the entrance to the Lanchuan Mountains. All members of the Wu family, listen up, return to the family for a meeting. All members of the Jiang family, listen up, return to the family for a meeting. All members of the Sun family, listen up, return to the family for a meeting. Assemble, all members of the Lingtai City, assemble and welcome Princess Jingyue to the city. Along with the anxious calls, the various forces that were fighting disappeared without a trace in an instant. The remaining soaring cloud sect disciples, led by Qin Hao, stood awkwardly in the incomparably cold and cheerless huge fighting arena. "Little brother, Go back to the sect with Li Bai and wait for the news from Grandpa. At this time, River Feather said in a heavy tone and nodded at Qin Hao. Chapter 903. The third day. Today was the day Xiao Han arrived at Lingtai. For the past 3 days, Lingtai City was unusually quiet, so quiet that it was a little scary. With the news of Xiao Han's arrival at Lingtai, the war between the Jiang Mansion and the Wu Mansion ceased, and the matter was resolved peacefully. During the 3 days, there were no quarrels between the two manors. When they met on the street, they would even greet each other in a friendly manner. However, the bystanders could see clearly that the silence was only temporary. The feud between the two manors would not be settled just because of this. Today was the day that Daliao, the beloved daughter of Emperor Xiao, Her Highness Jingwei, arrived at Lingtai. The deathly, silent Lingtai city seemed to have come alive. The common people decorated the city with lanterns and colored banners, decorating the city beautifully as they awaited the arrival of the princess. Qin Hao and the disciples of the Lingyun school got up early because of this. The whole sect rushed to the Jiang Mansion, ready to welcome the princess together with the people of the Jiang Mansion. At the moment, in the Jiang Mansion, Lord Li bowed and thanked Master for his kindness. After drinking young Master Jiang Fan's tea, he became young Master Jiang Fan's master. Respecting a master is like respecting a father, and young Master Jiang Fan must treat Lord Li with respect. If he has any rebellious thoughts, he will be struck by lightning. Boom! Qin Hao sat on the main seat. Jiang Fan knelt below. An old servant of the Jiang family was presiding over the formal ceremony for the two of them. In this regard, the patriarch of the Jiang family and Jiang Fan's father, Jiang Tiangang, both stroked their beards and nodded with a smile. They were very satisfied with Qin Hao's teaching of Jiang Fan. They did not expect that Jiang Fan would have such a huge change in just a month. In the past, it was impossible to think about. Therefore, Qin Hao could accept Jiang Fan as his disciple. Qin Hao could accept it, at least in the eyes of Jiang Bida and Jiang Tiangang. Qin Hao had gained a lot. Don't worry, I will treat my master 10 times, no, 100 times better than my father. Because my master is better than my father. Jiang Fan's face was filled with joy as he kowtowed to Qin Hao 3 times. He finally saw through it. On the surface, Qin Hao was cold and ruthless, but in reality, when he treated people he approved of, even if he beat or scolded them, it was out of kindness. Every step he took, he put himself in their shoes and thought for them. Therefore, the process was very painful. However, the ending made Jiang Fan feel very happy. At least in Qin Hao's eyes, he was not a hedonistic young master who only knew how to eat, drink, and play. He, Jiang Fan, was a talent that could be cultivated. Jiang Tiangong's face immediately turned green. He snorted and felt a little jealous. Don't I love you? Do you think I don't care about you? Do you think I don't care enough about you? You bastard, if you don't let me do anything, what can I do? Jiang Tiangang complained in his heart. What he couldn't understand was that Li Bai taught his son so well. This is so strange. I am an Emperor Realm expert. Look at your jealous face. Get lost. You can't even be a good father. What use do I have for you? Jiang Bida also turned hostile and pointed at Jiang Tiangang and scolded. Yes. I know I was wrong. Jiang Tiangang quickly smiled apologetically and retreated to the side while wiping his sweat. I've made a fool of myself in front of Lord Li. In the future, Fan will learn from Lord Li. I hope Lord Li will be more attentive. Jiang Bida stepped forward and cupped his hands. His attitude was 100 times better than when Qin Hao first came to the Jiang Mansion. From his attitude, it could be seen that he was very relieved to let Qin Hao teach Jiang Fan. Old master is too polite. Your blood flows in Jiang Fan's body. He has outstanding talent and will become a great person in the future. Qin Hao returned the greeting. Of course. My master has a good eye. He knows that I, Jiang Fan, have great potential. Jiang Fan proudly raised his head. He didn't know how to be humble at all. Old ancestor Jiang glared at Jiang Fan and shook his head helplessly with a smile. Then, his expression became serious. Li Bai, the princess will be here today. The old man ordered people to call your Lingyun school over early. Do you know why? Is it because the old master has some concerns in his heart? Qin Hao asked. The Jiang family definitely didn't just want to bring Lingyun school over to broaden their horizons. Jiang Bida nodded. Yesterday, the three families and the city lord have finished discussing. From today onwards, we will completely seal off the Lanchuan mountain range to prevent any accidents. The four forces are divided into the east, west, north, and south. Each of them is responsible for one direction. The city lord's mansion is in the east. The Wu family is in the north, the Sun family is in the south, and the Jiang family is in the west. The Jiang family is adjacent to the Wu family. The old master is afraid that the Wu family will do something behind his back. Qin Hao hit the nail on the head. That's right. Jiang Bida took a deep breath. Fan, or killed Wu Bai. The Wu family will definitely not let it go. On the surface, the Wu family is busy welcoming the arrival of the princess and hurriedly mobilizing experts from all branches to reinforce the main family. But in reality, the old man guessed that they will take advantage of the situation. They will hunt and kill you and Fan Er. After all, six-fingered demonic Zither and Wu Bai died because of you. How is that possible? Old master, you are an emperor-level expert. With you and the head of the Tiangang family holding the fort, not to mention the small Wu family, who can touch junior brother Jiang Fan and our master. At this time, a Lingyun school disciple laughed without thinking. Shut up. Mu Feiyu turned around and scolded. His eyes were extremely stern. Things were definitely not as simple as they seemed on the surface. If the old man and Tiangang can really come to Lanchuan Mountain in person, the small Wu family is nothing. Even if 3 Yuan sovereigns come, they won't be able to touch Fan. Jiang Bida sneered disdainfully and immediately shook his head dispiritedly. But the key is that according to Her Highness Jingyue's temper and style of doing things, she will definitely not let me follow the team. Sai, it's difficult, not to mention Jiang Bida and Jiang Tiangang. Even the head of the Wu family and all the high-level Yuan venerates of the 3 clans would not be able to take half a step into Lanchuan Mountain. Xiao Han was there to relax, not to be admired like a pet. How could he let an emperor-level expert and a large number of Yuan venerates monitor his actions and spy on his secrets at all times? This was what made Emperor Xiao feel awkward. If he could, he would have sent a few million troops to surround the entire Lanchuan Mountain. It was precisely because of Xiao Han's resistance that he had no choice but to order the various families and forces of Lingtai City to be responsible for Xiao Han's safety. It's strange. Our princess is too different. She doesn't like embroidery or raising cats, but she is keen on men hunting in the mountains ever since she came from the poor Shiliang. Every year at the beginning of autumn, she has to hold a big event. This is already the 4th year that she has held a hunt. Jiang Fan said unhappily. It wasn't that women couldn't wield swords and spears. Jiang Fan's sister, Jiang Yu, also liked to cultivate. However, he had never seen a girl like Xiao Han who liked to hunt in the wilderness. However, Qin Hao felt sour when he heard this. Others didn't understand. He understood. The hunt held at the beginning of autumn was a bet that Qin Hao had made with Zhuang Heba in Xiuqin Town. The bet was Xiao Han's lifelong happiness. Qin Hao had used that hunt to defeat the other party and tear up the marriage contract that the Zhuang family had bullied Xiao Han with, causing Zhuang Heba's reputation to be ruined. Chapter 904. And Master, what's wrong? Jiang Fan saw that Qin Hao's eyes were red, and there seemed to be tears in his eyes. Qin Hao was startled awake and quickly said, I've been staying up late recently. It's okay, where were we? Forgive me for being distracted. After saying that, he forcefully used his vitality to disperse the tears that were about to fall from his eyes. Li Bai, old man knows that Fan killed the little bastard of the Wu family, which has put you under a lot of pressure recently. Moreover, for the development of Lingyun School, you've been working too hard day and night. But no matter what, young people have to put their health first. Don't give yourself too much pressure. Don't burden yourself. Old Ancestor Jiang said with concern, and then returned to the topic. Our little princess has a strange temper and doesn't like to be disturbed by anyone, so Old Man doesn't have the chance to be by her side. And during the hunt, it's the best time for the Wu family to take revenge. It's also their last chance. They won't miss it. Qin Hao continued. The Wu family hated Jiang Fan and himself to the bone. Yes, Old Ancestor Jiang was full of worry. But in Old Man's eyes, the Wu family is like a grasshopper. No matter how they jump, they won't be able to jump to the sky. What worries me is that Xiao Han is far away from Xiao Yi. This time, he will definitely be killed by the remnants of the rebel army. You must know that this year is also the last chance for the rebel army to make a move. Although Xiao Yi had eliminated the rebels, there were still fish that escaped the net. In these years, the fish that escaped the net had caused a lot of trouble in the country, and even caused panic among the people of Daliao. Xiao Han's previous hunting trips were not too far away. This time, Lanchuan Mountain was at the border of Daliao. And after this year, everyone knew that Xiao Han would be appointed as the crown prince. At that time, it would be as difficult as ascending to the sky for the rebel army to make a move. In short, during the hunt, it was not only a good opportunity for the Wu family to take revenge on Qin Hao and Jiang Fan, it was also a God-given opportunity for the rebel army to kill Xiao Han. To Patriarch Jiang, there was no doubt that there was a wolf inside and a tiger outside. When it rains, it pours. And your priority is not only to protect your own safety, but also to prioritize the safety of the princess. Ancestor Jiang clenched his fists and said anxiously. Looking at his attitude, Xiao Han's life was more important than Jiang Fan's. If anything were to happen, Jiang Fan could die, but the princess could not be harmed. Judging from Old Master's tone, you seem to have a close relationship with Emperor Xiao? Qin Hao wanted to know the relationship between the Jiang family and Xiao Yi. That day when the messenger general gave the order, everyone trembled and knelt down, except for Old Master Jiang. Moreover, from the beginning to the end, Old Master Jiang had never called Xiao Yi Emperor Xiao. There was no reverence in his eyes. Instead, there was a layer of concern, as if he was looking at his own child. You don't know this. My grandfather saved Emperor Zhao's life. At this time, River Feather faintly smiled. 5 years ago was the last year Xiao Yi returned to Daliao and formed an army to fight against the rebel army. That year, the war had been extremely intense, and the rebel army had struggled desperately. During a certain battle, Xiao Yi had unfortunately been ambushed and besieged. All the generals by his side had died in battle, and he had lost contact with the army. In a coma, he had been dragged by an old horse to the entrance of the Jiang family's residence. At that time, the Jiang family had not been the Jiang mansion, and Old Master Jiang had not been the primitive emperor. He had merely been a level 7 Yuan venerate. When Old Master Jiang saw a general in tattered armor lying at the entrance with blood staining his robes, he instinctively resisted rescuing him. This was because Daliao had been torn apart and the flames of war had been incessant. He did not want the Jiang family to be involved with the warlords. However, he could not resist the kindness of his wife. It was River Feather's grandmother who had taken in Xiao Yi out of compassion. River Feather's grandmother had also been a level 7 king grade alchemist. She had often treated the injured without asking for compensation and had won the hearts of the people of Lingtai City. However, the good times did not last long. The demonic beasts trained by the rebel army had followed Xiao Yi's aura to the Jiang family's residence. My grandmother had died at that time. My grandfather had been stabbed several times, and my father had also suffered serious injuries. Although our Jiang family was not as powerful as it is now, it was still a large family. However, in less than half an hour, the rebel army had slaughtered us. My younger brother and I had been protected by our mother. Our mother had protected us under the table. River Feather suddenly choked up and covered her face, unable to continue speaking. If it had not been for her mother, she and her younger brother would have died. Fortunately, the various commanders under Emperor Shao had arrived in time and exterminated all the rebel army, saving the lives of Jiang Bida, Jiang Tiangang, and River Feather and her younger brother. Even so, she and her younger brother had lost their grandmother and mother forever. After that, Shao Yi and I became sworn brothers. He treated my father as his own father and taught us a set of heaven-grade cultivation technique to help us step into the ranks of emperor-grade experts. This was the reason why our Jiang family could look down on Daliao and why my father would never have to kneel before Emperor Shao. Ben, Jiang Tiangang clenched his fists and said, "I see. Please accept my bow." Upon hearing this, Qin Hao bowed to old ancestor Jiang and Jiang Tiangang in admiration. The Jiang family had sacrificed a lot for this. Even if it was for Shao Han and his future father-in-law, Qin Hao had to do this bow. "Sec Masterly, why are you doing this?" Jiang Tiangang was stunned. Old Master Jiang and Master Jiang are unparalleled heroes. I admire you from the bottom of my heart. Qin Hao found an excuse. Ancestor Jiang waved his hand. I'm ashamed. At that time, this old man had no intention of saving that child, Shao Yi. It was my wife who forcefully dragged me and threatened not to let this old man go to bed. Cough, cough. Li Bai, in short, you must remember that no matter how dangerous it is, you must protect him first. Shao Han is half a granddaughter to the old man. It's almost time. Let's go. Everyone in the Jiang mansion, follow the old ancestor out of the city to welcome the princess. A general of the Jiang mansion roared. Swoosh. The Jiang mansion's experts collectively lined up in neat rows. Wait a minute. Qin Hao suddenly called out and turned to look at old ancestor Jiang. Old master, give me 10 breaths. It's the first time we meet the princess. Our Lingyun school can't be too shabby. After that, Qin Hao took out 3 Saint Soul pills and gave them to Ling Xiaoxue, Mu Feiyu, and Yang Kuan. Eat them. This could it be that junior brother Jiang Fan took it that day? Gulp. Mu Feiyu swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Everyone in the room looked at the pills in Qin Hao's hand with great shock, including old ancestor Jiang. Their eyes were burning with passion. These 3 pills were emitting a purple-gold luster. They were obviously the divine pills that Jiang Fan took to become a heavenly saint in a second when he defeated Wu Bai. Well, it's called the Saint Soul Pill. As for how much it can improve your cultivation, it depends on your aptitude, Qin Hao said. He flicked his finger, and the 3 pills were thrown to the 3 of them. At the same time, he waved his hand again. A large number of shining divine soldier weapons appeared on the ground. The dazzling golden light reflected on the hall of the Jiang family. Since he was the sect master of the cloud-soaring sect, how could he allow his disciples to receive their future sect master's wife with rotten beryllium copper and inferior cultivation? At this moment, after the disciples of the Lingyun school recovered from their shock, they were all wild with joy and crazily rushed to the weapons on the ground. The weapons were too luxurious. Each of them was flowing with a precious light and shining with strange runes. They were obviously inscriptions with amazing power. Arts. The experts of the Jiang family were naturally jealous. If old ancestor Jiang wasn't present, they would have snatched them directly. Chapter 905. Congratulations to senior sister Xiaoxue for advancing to the 8th rank. Congratulations to senior brother Feiyu for advancing to the 1st level of the mortal saint realm. Congratulations, senior brother Yang Kuan, for becoming an 8th-stage profound sage as well. The disciples congratulated one after another with excited expressions. The 3 pills that the sect master had bestowed upon them had directly raised their cultivation by several levels, and their strength had increased by several levels. Ling Xiaoxue had advanced from the 6th rank to the 8th rank, crossing 2 levels. Mu Feiyu had advanced from the peak of the origin ancestor realm to the mortal saint realm, crossing 1 level. Among them, Yang Kuan was the most surprising. He had actually advanced 3 realms from the 5th level of the Profound Sage realm to the 8th level of the Profound Sage realm. From this, it could be seen that the one with the highest aptitude was undoubtedly Yang Kun. This was something that even Qin Hao hadn't expected. I'm ashamed. I only advanced by 1 level. Compared to Xiao Xue and junior brother Yang Kun, I'm so weak. Mu Feiyu's tone was somewhat dejected. Although he said that, he still had a happy expression on his face. After all, he had advanced from the 3rd grade to the 4th grade. Many pills that he couldn't refine in the past could now be refined by him. It was already a qualitative leap. This pill is so powerful. Where did the sect master get it from? Yang Kun clenched his fist. The Yuan Qi in his body surged violently. He had never been so strong before. Following his question, everyone's gazes gathered on Qin Hao. The Saint Soul pill was simply too powerful. The one who was the most interested was Mu Feiyu. Mu Feiyu was an alchemist. When he saw the purple gold Saint Soul pill, he was already extremely excited. Furthermore, Dindi was his lifelong idol. He had collected all kinds of legendary books about Dindi since he was young. He knew Dinda's alchemy skills, temperament, and personality like the back of his hand. He could vaguely sense that Qin Hao's Saint Soul pill contained Dinda's aura. This was his judgment based on the records in the ancient books. Although he couldn't pinpoint exactly what it was, his intuition told him that the Saint Soul pill must have been infused with the 9 Dragons fire tempering technique. The 9 Dragons fire tempering technique was Dinda's signature move. A few years ago, I happened to encounter a gravedigger who was severely injured and fighting for his life. That gravedigger was exploring the tomb of an Emperor Realm expert and found 10 Saint Soul pills in the tomb. When he was trying to retrieve the pills, he suddenly triggered a mechanism in the tomb. Qin Hao gestured with his hands and started to tell a lie. After the tomb raider fell into the trap, he was lucky enough to escape with the Saint Soul pill. However, he didn't have long to live, and he happened to meet him. The tomb raider didn't want the elixir to go with him, so he shared it with Qin Hao. That tomb raider once said that the box containing this pill was engraved with Dinda's mark. Presumably, it was made by Dinda 600 years ago. Qin Hao said with a look of longing. He was a fanatical fan of Dindi. Anyway, he admired himself. To think that it really came from the hands of my idol. I was right. Mu Feiyu was so excited that he almost fainted. He had never thought that one day he would be able to eat a pill made by his idol. It was such a blessing. What a pity. At this time, Old Master Jiang sighed and shook his head. Everyone knew what Old Master Jiang was trying to say. It was probably that they would never be able to find the formula of the Saint Soul pill again. Dindi had fallen for 600 years. Until now, most of the pills that Dindi had left behind on the market were fake. Only a very small number of them were real. The Saint Soul pill in Qin Hao's hand was one of those very few. It had a great collection value. How many do you have? Old Master Jiang asked again. Some time ago, I went into seclusion to break through to the King Realm. I used 4. Jiang Fan used 2 when he became a heavenly saint. Including the 3 just now, I used 9 in total. I only have 1 Saint Soul pill left. Qin Hao said. He laughed in his heart. You want to find someone to decipher my formula? Sorry, you don't have a chance. You only have 1 left. Old Master Jiang's face twisted. Then forget it. You can keep it for yourself. I want to find someone to decipher it. If they failed, it would be a waste of Dinda's treasure. You can keep it and sell it when the price rises. I believe there will be a lot of Dinda's fans. Those who fight for it can make a lot of money. Everyone nodded when they heard that. Old Master Jiang's words made sense. No. I want to keep this last pill as the treasure of the Lingyun school. I want to give it to the most outstanding disciple in the sect. The effect of the peerless Saint Soul pill can reach at least 2 levels below the King Realm. It's very precious. And Qin Hao pointed at the new weapons in the arms of the disciples. The weapons in your hands are all engraved with inscriptions of wind, fire, thunder, lightning, metal, wood, water, earth, light, darkness, and all kinds of elements. Study it carefully, and you will discover the mystery. Thank you, sect leader. It's the blessing of the Lingyun school to have such a sect leader. I'm willing to dedicate my youth and hot-bloodedness to the sect and never betray it." The disciples were so stimulated that they cried out. At this moment, almost everyone's dream was to get the last Denda's Saint's Soul pill in the sect leader's hands. This caused a wave of envy and jealousy in the Jiang clan. They sighed. Why didn't the Jiang clan have a talent like Qin Hao? Cough, cough. Goodbye. Old man said something wrong just now. Young people should be strong and healthy. You don't need to pay too much attention to your body. You must work more and put in more effort to reflect the value of your life. How about this? After the hunt, you can stay here for 3 years. You can stay in my mansion for 3 to 5 years. First, you can carve inscriptions for my family's weapons. Second, you can improve your relationship with Xiaoyu. Your marriage. Grandpa, do you still want me to go out and meet people? Riveryu hurriedly covered his face with both hands. He was embarrassed and angry. Qin Hao was also embarrassed. However, the other members of the Jiang clan all laughed loudly. This time, there was no trace of disdain in their eyes for Qin Hao and the Lingyun school. They felt that Qin Hao and River, you were very compatible. The old ancestor was really wise. Dad, the princess is almost at the city gate. At this time, Jiang Tiangang hurriedly reminded. Oh. Everyone, let's go. Jiang Bida waved his hand and stepped out of the Jiang clan's residence with majestic steps. Behind him, Qin Hao and Jiang Tiangang followed closely. Behind Jiang Tiangang were the people of the Jiang clan, led by Riveryu. Behind Qin Hao were Jiang Fan, Ling Xiaoxue, and the other Lingyun school disciples. The two groups of people advanced toward the city gate. "All right, master. Our Jiang clan spies sent a message. While you were in seclusion, something earth-shattering happened in the Ding Anqing Song family." As he walked, Jiang Fan said with an unusually serious expression. "Oh," Qin Hao asked, "what's the big deal?" Song Qing Shu and his uncle's clan were wiped out. There were more than 500 people in the branch clan, including the servants, guests, and servants. Not a single one was left alive. They all died tragically. Moreover, the way they died was very strange. The blood in each corpse seemed to have been forcefully sucked dry by an external force. They were all dried-up corpses. Judging from the way they died, the murderer's strength is monstrous. The Song family's branch clan didn't have the slightest ability to resist. Jiang Fan's words shocked Qin Hao. The Ding Anqing Song family had a deep grudge with the Lingyun school. Now, the head of the branch clan didn't even have the chance to take revenge for his nephew before his entire clan was wiped out overnight. Other than that, something big also happened in the rock sect. Do you still remember the third elder who threatened you? Jiang Fan looked at Qin Hao seriously. As Qin Hao nodded, Jiang Fan said, "The third elder of the rock sect is also dead. The way he died was exactly the same as the Song family's members. All the blood in his body was sucked dry by an external force, and he turned into a dried corpse. The third elder's cultivation was not weaker than the second elder's. Although the second elder's corpse managed to hold back a level 6 Yuan Monarch, he still couldn't resist at all. When the incident happened, not a single disciple in the entire rock sect noticed. Chapter 906. According to Jiang Fan's description, a figure immediately appeared in Qin Hao's mind when he heard it. The old demon. When it came to blood control, no one could beat the Blood Emperor's second master. The rock sect wasn't a simple sect. Everyone, from the sect master to the disciples, had extremely high musical attainments. Their innate alertness and hearing were several times better than ordinary martialists. When the third elder was killed, the other elders and disciples hadn't noticed at all. This proved that the murderer wasn't just a Yuan Venerate. Furthermore, the murderer wasn't an ordinary Yuan Venerate. All these signs were in line with the old demon's realm and characteristics. However, Qin Hao immediately rejected his own guess. That wasn't very likely, as he had seen the old demon leave on the day he arrived at Beijiang. This is somewhat unexpected, Qin Hao said softly. his pace neither fast nor slow. Jiang Fan frowned. He wanted to say something, but stopped himself. He really wanted to ask, "Don't you think it's strange, master?" Anyone who had a grudge against Qin Hao had to die. The murderer was obviously protecting Qin Hao. How could Qin Hao not know? Jiang Fan swallowed his words. He was Qin Hao's disciple. No matter what the outcome was, he couldn't offend his master. Based on his previous temper, he would have secretly ordered someone to investigate Qin Hao's background and identity. He would have definitely gotten to the bottom of it. However, he didn't do it this time. Although Jiang Fan didn't do it, Patriarch Jiang did it secretly. The result of the investigation was nothing. Li Bai seemed to have appeared out of thin air, joined the Lingyun school, and then taken the position of sect master. Perhaps the previous sect master Ling Quan knew some of his secrets. However, Ling Quan was already dead. The dead told no tales. It's good that the Ding and City Song family has been wiped out. No matter who did it, it's a good thing for the Jiang family and the Lingyun school. As for the Rock sect's third elder, he's just an ant. There's no need to care about him. At that moment, Jiang Bita's voice was heard from the front. Grandpa is right. A bunch of good-for-nothings. They're a waste of air when they're alive. Jiang Fan smiled. Qin Hao's expression didn't look too good. He was still guessing in his heart. Could it really be you? Old demon, who didn't leave the northern border? Also, Fanner, your master's martial arts techniques are not bad. That day at the battle arena, he blocked dozens of Yuan monarchs with his sword. It was very impressive. You have to learn it diligently. Jiang Bita's old eyes were ruthless. He had not forgotten Qin Hao's graceful sword. This reminded Qin Hao. He quickly grabbed Jiang Fan and whispered in his ear, "During the princess hunt, unless it is absolutely necessary and no one is threatening your life, do not use the movement skill I taught you." Not only could Jiang Fan no longer use Aquafail steps, but Qin Hao could no longer use Fleeting Sword. Otherwise, Xiaohan would definitely be able to see through it. At that time, they would be exposed. This did not mean that Qin Hao did not want to reunite with Xiaohan. It was just that it was not the right time to do so. If his identity was exposed, Northern Yan's Zhanyue residence and Northern Xi's Medicine Emperor Pavilion would definitely send experts to seek revenge. If they could not do it openly, they would definitely kill Qin Hao in the dark. Facing the overwhelming number of assassins, Qin Hao was not confident that he could survive until the day of the Diwu competition. Why? Jiang Fan was puzzled and dissatisfied. Master's movement skill is so exquisite. I can use it in front of the princess and get her praise. It's a good opportunity for me to show off. I said no means no. There's no reason. Do you want to get out of Lingyun school? Do you want to do as I say? Qin Hao was completely unreasonable. Master, don't be angry. I'll listen to you. I'll listen to you, okay? What's the name of that movement skill? I still don't know. Why are you asking so much? Fine, I'll tell you. It's called Wavy Steps. 1,000 years ago, a powerful person named Gale passed it down. But in the end, he was killed by his own wavy steps. So you can't be too wavy, or you'll be killed by your own wavy steps. Qin Hao and Jiang Fan had their arms around each other's shoulders and bickered along the way. They did not look like master and disciple at all, but more like brothers. The experts of the Jiang residence and the disciples of Lingyun school did not know whether to laugh or cry. When they were almost at the city gate, Qin Hao could vaguely see the people from the mayor's residence welcoming Xiaohan. He could not help but feel nervous. He grabbed Jiang Fan's arm and said, "Disciple, look at your master's clothes. Am I handsome enough? How is my bearing? Will it make others dislike me? Master, you're very good. Master, how are you? You don't have to be nervous. You have a handsome figure and a dignified appearance. You're like a firefly in the dark. No matter where you stand, you'll become the center of attention. You have to be careful. Have confidence, understand? Love freedom." Jiang Fan clenched his fist and cheered for Qin Hao. Yes, love freedom. Qin Hao took 2 deep breaths. It had been 4 years. He had been separated from Xiaohan for 4 whole years. Would she recognize him at a glance? No. He had changed his appearance and distorted his facial features. He was now called Li Bai. But would she like the Li Bai that he was pretending to be? What if he did not do well enough and annoyed her? Qin Hao was really anxious. It was the first time in his life that he was so nervous about someone. Li Bai, this is the first time you've met the princess. Old man can understand your eagerness to show off, but you should put Xiao Yu first. Let's talk about your marriage with Xiao Yu. Old man Zhang's words came again. Puffed. Qin Hao did not swallow his saliva and almost spat it out. They had arrived at the city gate. All the forces had been waiting for a long time. The city gate was full of armored soldiers. 2 rows of mighty guards of the mayor's mansion stood along the main road into the city. 1 person stood every 3 meters. The Wu family, the Sun family, and the mayor stood in 3 rows under the city gate. Only the Jiang mansion and the Lingyun school were missing. Seeing old man Jiang and Qin Hao coming, the Wu family's patriarch clenched his fists. His lips were purple because of excessive anger. However, he did not dare to make a move. At this time, a majestic royal army came from the opposite side. It was no doubt Xiao Han's team. Before the team arrived, a majestic imperial aura swept over, making people unable to help but kneel down. When the team came closer, the first thing that came into sight was the golden-armored middle-aged general who sent the message that day. Behind the golden-armored general, there were 4 horses. These 4 horses were covered in purple armor. The riders on the horses were like simple statues. Their faces were extremely cold, but their aura was unusually strong. It was much stronger than Qin Hao. Obviously, they had all reached the revered realm. In terms of age, the 4 of them were no more than 35 years old. It could be said that they were young and powerful. After the 4 purple horses, there was a huge phoenix palanquin. The palanquin was carved with hundreds of birds worshipping the phoenix, showing endless luxury. There was no need to guess. The person inside must be the daughter of the current Emperor Xiao, the future Empress of Daliao, Princess Jingwei. According to Xiao Han's temper, she did not like to sit in a palanquin. She rode a horse all the way. However, every time she entered a city, she was forced to sit in a palanquin to prevent the people from causing a riot. She did not like to be the center of attention and stare at her face. In the crowd, when Qin Hao stared at the palanquin, with the red lotus soul fire flashing in his eyes, he accurately saw the person in the palanquin. It was the girl he had been thinking about day and night. Now, the girl had grown taller and more developed. She looked more beautiful. She had changed a lot. However, Qin Hao saw too much helplessness and melancholy in Xiao Han's lowered eyes. She was not happy in Daliao. Chapter 907. When Duan Ziju first arrived in western Liang, he destroyed the Phoenix Glass Hall with a single palm strike and left an indelible pain in the sect. When he took Xiao Han away, he even mocked and ridiculed Qin Hao. Qin Hao remembered it. Although it wasn't convenient to teach him a lesson now, Qin Hao still had the ability to take some interest from Duan Ziju during the hunt. Lingtai City's city lord, Xiao Qianlu, welcomes our clan's princess, Jingwei. Lingtai City's Wu clan's patriarch, Wu Zia, welcomes Princess Jingwei. Long live the princess. Sun clan's patriarch, Sun Zhongmao, welcomes Princess Jingwei. I wish the little princess to have this day every year, and to have eternal youth and fair skin. Sun Zhongmao, what nonsense are you talking about? Jiang Residence's Jiang Beta greets Princess Jingwei. As the Phoenix sedan landed, the city lord and the various patriarchs all went up to greet her. The Sun Clan's patriarch was especially excited and lost his composure. Why? You only saw Jingyue's Phoenix sedan and didn't notice me? At this moment, a flaming dragon horse stepped out from behind the Phoenix sedan and stopped in front of the various patriarchs. On the dragon horse, a young man in luxurious robes smiled faintly. He was filled with the aura of a superior. There was a platinum jade pendant on the young man's waist. It was engraved with the emblem of the great Yan's Murong royal clan, the #1 empire in the Northern Territory. You could be Prince Murong Zijuan? Wu Zia greets Prince Zijuan. Sun Zhongmao of the Sun clan greets Prince Zijuan. I wish you to have this day every year, and to have eternal youth and fair skin. With Murong Zijuan's sudden appearance, everyone panicked and knelt down to greet him. Qin Hao was also shocked. This was his first time seeing Murong Zijuan face to face, the rumored prince of northern Yin. If others didn't recognize him, Qin Hao wouldn't even know who he was. Wow! Today, not only had Xiao Han come, but his old rival in love, Duan Ziju, had also come. Although this was the first time the two met, Murong Zijuan had caused a lot of trouble for Qin Hao in private. First, he sent 2 lackeys to assassinate Qin Hao. However, the assassination failed, and they were killed by Qin Hao instead. As a result, Qin Hao obtained a king-tier, flying mystic treasure, and a broom. After that, Tian Buwang's father, Tian Daoyuo, brought his beloved disciple, Sha Qiandao, back to Starry Moon Academy from Northern Yin Kingdom. He wanted to avenge his son by killing Qin Hao. In the end, one of Tian Daoyuo's legs was shot off, and his beloved disciple, Qiandao, was also killed. The 4 Yuan venerates he had brought with him had all died. Most importantly, the person behind Tian Daoyuo was Murong Zijuan. Murong Zijuan didn't even hesitate to let his own younger brother, Murong Zishui, come here Luo Shui to show off. Today, Qin Hao finally caught me in the flesh. How can I let you go? Murong Zijuan smiled and nodded in satisfaction as the various patriarchs knelt down to pay their respects. However, when his gaze landed on old Master Jiang and City Lord Xiao Qianlu, he revealed a trace of impatience. City Lord Xiao Qianlu and old Master Jiang didn't do anything to him. You are all paying your respects to Murong Zijuan, but ignoring my existence. Can I assume that the various patriarchs are looking down on Northern Qi? Suddenly, another person walked out from behind the Phoenix Palanquin. Although this person wasn't riding a flaming dragon horse, he was holding a 1,000-year-old tortoise under his crotch. Judging from the aura emitted by the old tortoise, its grade wasn't lower than a peak beast king. Qin Hao even felt that it was very likely a beast venerate that could transform into a human form. The person stepping on the old tortoise's back naturally had a dignified appearance and an extraordinary bearing. He wasn't much worse than Murong Zijuan. Oh my God, it's Prince Qi Yuan of Northern Qi. Wu family patriarch Wu Zia kneels down to greet His Highness Prince Qi Yuan. Sun Clan's patriarch, Sun Zhongmong, kneels to Your Highness. I wish Your Highness eternal youth, tender skin, and the taste of summer. Everyone was shocked. Even the crown prince of Northern Yin and the first prince of Northern Qi were here. However, it made sense. The emperor martial competition would be held next year to find a prince consort for the princess. Murong Zijuan and Qi Yuan were the 2 most favored among all the candidates. Naturally, they wouldn't leave Princess Jingyue's side, looking for opportunities to get closer to her. Qi Yuan frowned slightly. When he heard Sun Zhongmong's words again, he revealed a dissatisfied expression. His expression seemed to be saying, "Do you only know how to say this? Why don't you go and die?" Similarly, old Master Jiang and Xiao Qianlu didn't pay their respects to Qi Yuan this time. They would only support the emperor of the Xiao clan, Xiao Yi and Xiao Han. In the crowd, Qin Hao's expression turned gloomy with Qi Yuan's appearance. His intuition told him that this prince of Northern Qi wasn't easy to deal with. He had another love rival. Oof. At this moment, Duan Ziju sneered disdainfully. Daliao's native clan leader bowed to Murong Zijuan and Qi Yuan in front of him and Xiao Han. Oh my God, Crown Prince Duan. Wu Zia, clan leader of the Wu clan, greets the crown prince of the warlord's residence. Sun Zhongmong greets the crown prince. I wish the crown prince a golden dynasty and a tender skin. Everyone's attention was immediately attracted by Duan Ziju, who snorted coldly. Enough, enough. Jingwei, and I didn't come here to listen to your flattery. Duan Ziju waved his hand disdainfully, full of disgust. Old Master Jiang smiled and said, "The crown prince and the prince of the neighboring country accompanied our princess and crown prince on a long journey. You must be tired from the journey. Why don't you come to my Jiang residence and rest for a few days?" No, the Wu family patriarch interrupted him. He pointed at Master Jiang and snorted coldly. "Welcome the princess and the princes. You people of the Jiang family are the last to come. Obviously, you don't respect the princess and the princes. You should come to the Wu family to rest. Clan leader Wu, you are wrong. Your son just died, and your residence is full of bad luck. Are you trying to infect the princess and crown Prince Zijuan with bad luck? Sun Zhongmong clicked his tongue and sneered. What he meant was that the Sun residence was the most suitable place for them to rest. Wu Zia was infuriated when his sore spot was exposed. Get out of my way. Xiao Qianlu, lead the way. At this moment, the golden-armored general lashed out with his horsewhip and almost lashed clan leader Wu and clan leader Sun's faces. The two of them were so frightened that they hurriedly dodged. Along with the neighing of war horses, the royal knights surrounded Xiao Han's palanquin and went straight to the city lord's residence, leaving the various clan leaders to the side. Xiao Han, who was in the palanquin, didn't say a word from the beginning to the end. In an instant, the various forces, including the Lingyun School's disciples, felt extremely awkward. Let's go. At this moment, Old Master Jiang waved his hand and led the Jiang residence's troops and Qin out of the city lord's residence. Chapter 908. On the way, Qin Hao had an indescribable feeling in his heart. He didn't know if he was happy or sad. Just now, Xiao Han didn't detect a trace of my aura from the welcoming team. She didn't even look in Qin Hao's direction. Was it because she was too tired? Or she couldn't remember the smell on my body? Perhaps time could really make some things fade away. Qin Hao thought it through and felt relieved. If Xiao Han's memory was blurred, Qin Hao could go all out. At this moment, he suddenly saw a familiar figure in the welcoming team. Song Ziang. Song Ziang followed beside Murong Zijuan. When Qin Hao looked over, Song Ziang turned around and smiled. Then, he quickly shifted his gaze away from the Lingyun School crowd. Perhaps he was afraid that his appearance would disturb Ling Xiaoxue again. They arrived at the city lord's mansion. Xiao Han was still nowhere to be seen in the main hall. The middle-aged general sat on the main seat and was drinking tea in big mouthfuls. Xiao Qianlu had a look of fear and trepidation as he kept adding water to the teapot. Murong Zijuan, Qi Yuan, and Duan Ziju sat in a corner. 6 pairs of eyes stared at each other's faces as if each other's faces were covered with feces. They didn't say a word, and the atmosphere was very awkward. As old Master Jiang and the 2 family heads came in, the middle-aged general threw away the teapot and straightened his armor. He waved his hand and said, "The princess is tired. You can all go back. Xiao Qianlu just told me about the plan that you guys came up with. I think it's pretty good, and you guys can carry out the plan. We will enter the mountain the day after tomorrow." "What about the escorts?" Old Master Jiang said anxiously. "We don't need any escorts from the 3 families. I will lead my warriors and follow the princess closely within 10 miles. Old Master Jiang's task is to seal off the surroundings of Lanchuan. Remember, don't let a single ant in." The middle-aged general's tone was very serious. Heavy. Once they entered the mountain, he wouldn't have the chance to follow Xiao Han. At most, 10 miles was the limit that Xiao Han gave him. All right then, Old Master Jiang sighed. In truth, he was very worried and wanted Qin Hao, Jiang Fan, Jiang Yu, and the Xianming elders to follow the group and be responsible for the princess's safety. Qin Hao's strength below the Yuan Venerate was obvious to all, and the Xianming elders were adept at joint attacks. As for Jiang Yu and Jiang Fan, they were the direct descendants of the Jiang family. They were the people that the old man trusted the most. However, the princess made it clear that she would not allow anyone to follow her. Turning around, old Master Jiang and the 2 patriarchs could only return in dejection. "Old Mr. Jiang, please wait." At this moment, an extremely pleasant and dignified female voice resounded. It was Princess Jingyue's voice transmission. Xiao Han finally spoke. "Bring the Jiang family to the garden in the back hall. I'll wait for you here." Yes, yes. Old Master Jiang was so moved that he almost shed tears. He quickly grabbed his grandson and granddaughter's hands and gave Qin Hao a look. Then they walked along the corridor of the back hall and went straight to the back garden. "What are you waiting for?" The princess asked Jiang Bida to stay, but she didn't ask you to stay. Go do what you need to do. The middle-aged general waved at Patriarch Wu and Patriarch Sun impatiently. Upon seeing this, the two of them bowed and smiled apologetically before leaving the main hall. It seems like the old man of the Jiang family is favored by the princess. After all, he helped Emperor Shao in the past. After leaving the residence, Patriarch Sun put his hands behind his back and sneered. He did not hide the jealousy in his tone at all. The Jiang family has the support of the royal family. I'm afraid that in a few years, the Wu family and the Sun family will no longer have a foothold in Lingtai City. Patriarch Wu chimed in. Do we have a way? Patriarch Sun spread his hands helplessly. Upon hearing this, Wu Zia suddenly stopped in his tracks and grabbed Sun Zhongmao's arm. There really is a way. I just don't know if Patriarch Sun is willing to work with me. If we succeed, the Jiang family will be destroyed in the blink of an eye. Patriarch Sun's eyes widened when he heard this. Come, follow me back to the residence to meet an important guest. The Sun family is about to rise. Wu Zia knew that the other party had been convinced. Thus, he pulled Sun Zhongmao and headed straight to the Wu residence. City Lord residence, back garden. Sister, they're here. An exceptionally pretty maidservant beside Xiaohan said. She looked to be about 17 or 18 years old and was wearing a clean green lotus leaf dress. Kaer, you can leave. Xiaohan held a jade bowl in her hand and sat calmly on a stone bench in the pavilion. Her slender fingers pinched the 5 grains in the bowl and threw them to the school of fish in the pond below her. But Uncle the Arch has instructed. Kaer cannot. Jiang Bida, save my father's life, silly girl. Xiaohan returned a smile. Her long eyelashes and bright eyes poked the little maid's forehead with her finger. The maidservant stuck out her tongue playfully at Xiaohan. Kaer will watch over there. If anyone dares to be disrespectful to sister, I will. She waved her little fist and skipped to the corridor exit with an innocent and cheerful laugh. Then, she placed her hands on her waist and blocked the exit. What she meant was that if Jiang Bida and his group dared to be disrespectful to Xiaohan, she would teach them a lesson. As Kaer blocked the exit behind them, Qin Hao and Jiang Fan turned around at the same time to take a look. The maidservant of the princess has quite a temper. Jiang Fan mumbled. Watch your mouth. She's 150 times stronger than you. Qin Hao did not dare to be careless. When he saw her for the first time, his expression was grave, and there was even a trace of astonishment. He suddenly thought of something and muttered to himself. Could she be the one who took away Xiaohan back then? Whoosh! Qin Hao understood. He took a deep breath and followed closely behind old Master Jiang. 150 times? Her? Jiang Fan smiled disdainfully. Judging from her age, the maidservant was even younger than him. 150 times? Was she a Yuan Venerate? Jiang Fan did not believe it. I am Jiang Bida, my son Jiang Tiangang, grandson Jiang Fan, and granddaughter Jiang Yu. Greetings, Princess Jingwei. Old Master Jiang was very excited when he arrived at the pavilion. His body trembled slightly as he bowed. Jiang Tiangang and the others also hurriedly knelt down. Rise. Xiaohan hurriedly threw the jade bowl away and helped Jiang Bida up. She also stopped the Jiang family from kneeling. Old man, you are my father's savior. My father once asked me to call you grandfather when I reached Lingtai City. Forgive Xiaohan for not being able to do so. However, I will acknowledge Uncle Tiangang, Sister Jiang Yu, and Jiang Fan. There were too many people just now, so it was inappropriate for Xiaohan to bow to you in public. It was also inappropriate for her to show off too much to the Jiang family. I understand. I understand everything. Xiao Yi gave birth to a good girl. Our Daliao will have a good master in the future. Old Master Jiang's eyes were a little wet as he wiped the corners of his eyes. Xiao Yi's life had been exchanged for his wife's. Old Master Jiang was reminded of his wife when he saw Xiao Yi and Xiaohan. Jiang Tiangang was also very touched. Xiaohan was indeed not arrogant. Ah, is this the number 1 beauty in Liaoxi, Sister Jiang Yu? Sister is so beautiful. Xiaohan helped Jiang Bida to sit down. She then stepped forward and held Jiang Yu's hand. This made Jiang Yu feel flattered. She hurriedly said, "How could I dare to call myself a beauty in front of the princess? You are Daliao's goddess, its only goddess." My sister's words are true. To be honest, I, Jiang Fan, have seen countless women. I lost my virginity at the age of 12 in the residence, but I have never seen a girl as beautiful as Sister Xiao Han. Bastard. Damn it, don't be rude. Jiang Fan's words scared Jiang Bida and Jiang Tiangang so much that they jumped up. They were furious and were about to scold him and apologize to Xiao Han. Unfortunately, it was already too late. "How dare you?" Xiao, who did not move, but her figure instantly appeared in front of Jiang Fan from the exit of the corridor that was 50 meters away. Next, she threw out a small, white, and smooth fist, and it seemed to hit Jiang Fan's chin softly. Bang! Chapter 909. Yuan Venerate. How is this possible? Old Master Jiang and Jiang Tiangang were shocked. Kate was only a 17 or 18-year-old girl. She had reached the supremacy level at the age of 17 or 18. How terrifying was her talent? The two of them felt as if their hearts were in their throats. They knew very well what kind of person Jiang Fan was and what he was capable of. Although his cultivation had improved greatly recently, he still wouldn't be able to withstand a punch from a Yuan Venerate girl. Even if she showed mercy, it would be embarrassing if he fell into a fish pond. In the blink of an eye, Qin Hao had no choice but to make a move. No matter what, Jiang Fan was still his disciple. Qin Hao had to protect his disciple when he was beaten up in front of his master. He opened his arms wide and rushed over like an eagle. K's punch was very powerful, so it hit Jiang Fan like a cannonball. However, Qin Hao caught up in the blink of an eye. He reached out and grabbed Jiang Fan's hair, almost tearing his scalp off. This didn't mean that Qin Hao wasn't careful enough. It was just that K's cultivation base was already above Qin Hao's. If he didn't risk his life, he wouldn't dare say that he could beat her under normal circumstances. His body twisted, and he appeared behind Jiang Fan. Then, he sent out a heavy palm strike against Jiang Fan's back. Qin Hao circulated his alchemy techniques, and a radiance blossomed from his palm. Fortunately, he was very experienced, so it took him a lot of effort to remove the force from Jiang Fan. Then, he carried Jiang Fan back to the pavilion and threw him on the ground. Jiang Fan was lying flat on the ground with white foam flowing out of his mouth and legs. His eyes kept rolling around, and he didn't come back to his senses for a full 10 seconds. Who? Jiang Bida, Jiang Tiangang, and Jiang Yu wiped the cold sweat off their foreheads and heaved a sigh of relief at the same time. Then, the three of them were on tenterhooks. Jiang Fan's words just now had insulted the princess. The princess's body was priceless. How could she be compared to ordinary women? Even though the Jiang family had saved Emperor Zhao's life. However, when Xiao Yi imparted a royal-grade cultivation technique and helped Jiang Bida and Jiang Tiangang become emperors, they had already repaid that debt. An emperor-level expert was of great significance to the Jiang mansion. Furthermore, Xiao Yi had been in the imperial city for so many years. Every time there was a festival, he would send people to greet Patriarch Jiang and bring him batches of precious gifts. He had done a good job. On the other hand, the Jiang family disciples were disrespectful to Xiao Han. Princess, please punish me and bestow death upon Jiang Fan. The death of a vile creature is not to be regretted. However, I have something to say. In fact, Jiang Fan has not been in the Jiang family for the past few years and has not been taught by the old man. It was he who entered the Lingyun school and was taught by Master Li. At this point, Jiang Bida roared and pointed at Qin Hao's nose, sect leader Li. Is this how you discipline your disciple? Jiang Bida had a pleading look on his face. He had no choice but to make Qin Hao the scapegoat. Otherwise, the Jiang mansion would be implicated. The emperor's anger was not a joke. Grandpa, how can you do this? River Feather anxiously stomped his feet. Jiang Fan's outstanding performance meant that he was one of the best sons of the Jiang family. After making a mistake, He became Qin Hao's disciple. The Jiang family directly threw the blame to him. What kind of logic was this? Teaching my son to you is the biggest mistake I, Jiang Tiangang, have ever made in my life. At this time, Jiang Tiangang also played along with his father. Although his words were fierce, his eyes were filled with guilt. He was truly helpless. Cough, cough, I'm sorry. Old ancestor Jiang and clan head Jiang. Is my fault for not teaching him well. If there's a punishment, then punish me, the master. Qin Hao took the blame. Regardless of whether it was right or wrong, it was the master's duty to take the blame for his disciple. Li Bai, you fool. They are ganging up to bully you. River Feather was really angry. He couldn't stand it anymore. Only now did Qin Hao's appearance attract Xiao Han's attention. Xiao Han's lively eyes narrowed. Just now, when Li Bai made his movements were very similar to a person. Not very similar, but rather. It was hard to describe, but the feeling he gave was exactly the same as that person. Oh, I'm Li Bai, the clan head of Lingyun School. I'm also Jiang Fan's master. My disciple has offended the princess. Please punish me. Qin Hao cupped his hands and bowed deeply to Xiao Han. He pretended to be nervous, but he wanted a laugh in his heart. He secretly said to himself, "Wife, can you bear to do that? Can you bear to do that? Can you bear to hit me? Yo, you're quite responsible. You're quite impressive. The move you used to neutralize my punch just now is not bad. Come, come, come. Let's fight again. If you can beat me, I'll ask my sister to spare this audacious Jiang family brat." Xiao spoke and raised her head provocatively at Qin Hao. She was very dissatisfied that Qin Hao had saved Jiang Fan. Xiao, don't be rude. You can't control your strength. Xiao Han stopped Xiao. Sister, I was already merciful just now. You clearly saw it. Humph. I'm ignoring you. Xiao seemed to have been wronged. She turned around and walked away. She sat at the edge of the fish pond, picked up stones, and threw them into the pond one by one, making heavy splashing sounds. As she threw the stones, she glared at Qin Hao as if she was throwing stones at Qin Hao. He's obviously a weak, low-level Yuan monarch, but he actually neutralized my punch. Xiao was not convinced. She felt embarrassed. Xiao Han smiled indulgently. She lowered her head and looked at Jiang Fan, who was lying on the ground like a fool and foaming at the mouth. She waved at Qin Hao and Jiang Bida and said, "Don't be nervous. I don't mean to blame him. No one here saw it. Just pretend that nothing happened. I'm grateful for the princess's kindness." This time, Patriarch Jiang was even more grateful. However, Xiao Han no longer had any interest in the Jiang family. She started to size up Qin Hao seriously. "You're Li Bai?" "Yes." Qin Hao replied with his head lowered. "Raise your head and let me take a good look," Xiao Han said. Her gaze became even more serious. Qin Hao's body trembled. "Damn, teasing me?" When this scene fell into the eyes of old Master Jiang and River Feather, they were puzzled. However, they did not dare to say anything. "My sister asked you to raise your head. Didn't you hear her? Do you want to fight? I'll satisfy you." Xiao stood up when she saw that Qin Hao did not move. Yes. I'll raise my head. I'll raise my head." Qin Hao secretly circulated his essence energy. The indestructible samsara art covered his entire body and concealed his aura. His face, in particular, had the most essence energy gathered. This could prevent Xiao Han from prying into his disguise technique. "Where are you from?" When Xiao Han saw Qin Hao's appearance clearly, she could not help but feel disappointed. Although Li Bai was also handsome and could be considered not bad, his temperament was far from the person she remembered. "I'm from the forest next to Juchuan town. I live in a small village halfway up one of the mountains. I don't have parents, relatives, or friends. I've been with wild beasts since I was young. I was fortunate enough to receive the inheritance of a certain senior. Then, I became the secmaster of Lingyun School." "Why? Princess, you're looking at me so seriously. Do I look like an old acquaintance of yours?" Since Xiao Han could not pry into his disguise, Qin Hao could look at Xiao Han without any scruples. "Oh my wife is getting more and more beautiful. Moreover, she's more feminine. Although she was pure in the past, she was too girlish. Now, she's much more mature. It seems that she must have gone through a lot after returning to Daliao. Yes, not bad. My wife has grown and improved. Hey, Mr. Li, have you seen enough? You're too rude. Chapter 9:10. Xiaohan waved her hand. She was already used to it. No matter which man in the world stood so close to her, they would all stare at her without blinking. In Qin Hao's eyes, there was no blasphemy at all. It was pure appreciation, a very elegant and tasteful kind of appreciation. Xiaohan continued to ask, have you never been to Western Liang? Western Liang? Qin Hao was stunned. He said half-jokingly, why would I go to such a poor place? Princess, you really know how to joke. The two of them exchanged questions and answers. It seemed that the princess had developed some interest in Qin Hao. This made old Master Jiang couldn't help but interrupt. Cough, cough. Princess, you don't know. In fact, sect leader Li and my granddaughter Xiao, you have long been engaged. He is the son-in-law of my Jiang family. After the hunt, the wedding will be completed. No, it's not like that. Princess, listen to my explanation. Before Xiao Han could speak, Qin Hao became anxious. Old Master Jiang's heart was really dark. He ruined the relationship between a married couple. Doesn't your conscience hurt? Why are you messing around? You don't have to explain. I don't need to listen to your explanation. Not bad. Looking at your skills and appearance, you are worthy of my sister Riverview. Xiao Han smiled elegantly. She and Li Bai had only met once. It was just that this person gave her a sense of familiarity. In fact, she didn't have much interest in Li Bai. No. Princess, you must listen to my explanation. Actually, the situation is like this. Xiao Han didn't care, but Qin Hao was extremely anxious. This matter concerned his reputation. When he took off Li Bai's outer clothes and returned to his original body, it caused a serious misunderstanding with his wife. Xiao Han's expression immediately turned cold. Li Bai's performance was a little too impatient. What do you want to explain to me? It's your fortune to be liked by Sister Riverview. Why do you have to explain to me? To put it bluntly, even Xiao Han felt that Li Bai was crazy. Grandfather, I don't feel well, so I'll head back first. I hope the princess won't blame me. River Feather bowed to Xiao Han, her eyes slightly red. She didn't even dare to raise her head as she turned and left. Any girl who encountered such a scene would be very sad. Grandpa said that Li Bai was the son-in-law of the Jiang family because he wanted to elevate his status in front of the princess so as to attract her attention. It was convenient for him to seek a good future for Qin Hao. Besides, how could Qin Hao not understand her feelings? Just now, Jiang Bida and Jiang Tiangang had thrown the blame of Jiang Fan onto Qin Hao's back. Because of this, Jiang Yu did not hesitate to fall out with his family. You should know what's good for you. However, when Qin Hao saw the princess, he couldn't take his eyes off her. In terms of status, and appearance, River Feather admitted that she couldn't compare to Princess Jingwei. But it wasn't as if no one wanted her as the young miss of the Jiang family. It wasn't as if she had to marry Li Bai. Therefore, River Feather was truly heartbroken right now. Humph! When Jiang Tiangang saw his daughter being bullied, he rolled up his sleeves and flung them at Qin Hao. He also bowed and said, I suddenly feel unwell. I will return to my residence first. This old Master Jiang spread out his hands helplessly. Everything was going well, so why did things end up like this? He immediately glared at Qin Hao with a reproachful gaze. Qin Hao was afraid that he would show too much and expose himself. For a moment, he didn't dare to say anything. Hee. Sect Master Li has caused Big Sister River Feather to misunderstand. It's fine. When you return, accompany her properly and say a few good words. Big Sister River Feather is a talented woman. Sect Master Li shouldn't miss out on such a great opportunity. Xiao Han said with a smile. And Qin Hao sighed inwardly and nodded with an aggrieved expression. Only then did old Master Zhang's complexion turn for the better. He took a deep breath and said, I have troubled the princess for a long time. Actually, this old man is worried about the hunt the day after tomorrow. During the hunt, I implore the princess to bring along my grandson, granddaughter, and grandson-in-law. They're the same age as the princess and have the ability to defend themselves. They have a certain level of self-protection skills, and it will be convenient for them to chat with you on the way. I hope the princess will agree. The Jiang family's patriarch only wanted to remind Xiao Han that it was very likely that the remnants of the rebel army would make a move during this hunt in Lanchuan Mountain. I understand what Old Master means. Father Emperor fought for 10 years in exchange for the peace of Daliao today. Although there are some remnants of the rebel army that escaped the net, they are not enough to cause trouble. I am certain that they will definitely make a move on me this time. Xiao Han was already prepared for this. Old Master Jiang was shocked. Then, Princess, why are you still? How can one catch a tiger cub without entering the tiger's den? It is very troublesome to find them. Xiao Han smiled meaningfully. Since the rebels wanted to make a move on her, how could she not want to take the opportunity to kill all of them in one fell swoop and remove the big problem in Xiao Yi's heart? On the surface, Xiao Han was relaxing and hunting, but in reality, this move was called luring the snake out of its hole. The princess is very bold. Patriarch Jiang was very shocked. He turned around and said seriously, however, the princess should not underestimate the other party. To be honest, my grandson-in-law, who is sect masterly by, has extremely high attainments in cultivation techniques. It is rare for anyone below the supremacy level to be his match. 3 days ago, he killed 3 high-level supremacies in 3 battles. The princess has seen his methods just now. Bring him along during the hunt, and you'll be safe. Him? Can you guarantee my sister's safety? K. Sneered and pointed at Qin Hao. A mere level 3 Yuan Monarch killed 3 high-level Yuan Monarchs in 3 battles. Those 3 high-level Yuan Monarchs must have been taught by Mistress, right? K. Was disdainful. Xiao Han frowned and looked at Qin Hao again. She had to admit that Qin Hao's technique when he had neutralized K.'s punch was very exquisite and could be considered extraordinary. However, it was too much to say that he was invincible below the supremacy level. Xiao Han and K. had the same idea. Qin Hao might be able to deal with ordinary Yuan monarchs, but if he encountered elite experts, such as geniuses with essence spirits, he would not even know how he died. Jiang Fan and Jiang Yu were not even Yuan monarchs, and their cultivation levels were even lower. When the time came, they would definitely drag her down and even disrupt her plan to eliminate the rebels. However, Xiao Han could not bear to see old Master Zhang's worried expression. For her safety, the other party had sent his grandson, granddaughter, and son-in-law. If she still refused, she would seem too unreasonable. All right then, I will bring them along, Xiao Han said. At most, she would let K free up her hands to protect the Jiang family's grandson and son-in-law. As for Xiao Han herself, she was naturally very confident in her own cultivation level. Moreover, she had brought along the 2 idiots, Murong Zijuan and Qi Yuan, with her this time. These 2 people had not come for nothing. Thank you, Princess. Old Master Jiang smiled. This time, he was finally relieved. Then, he bade farewell and left with Qin Hao and Jiang Fan, who was still unconscious. After leaving the governor's residence, Qin Hao could not help but turn around and look. He shook his head and muttered, "Silly girl, you want to use yourself as bait to lure the snake out of its hole. Do you think the snake does not know that there are hunters outside? If it dares to come out, it must have the confidence to bite the hunters to death." Xiao Han was in the open, while the rebels were in the dark. The rebels more or less knew about Xiao Han's potential, ability, and the techniques she was good at. However, Xiao Han did not know how strong the rebels were. Helping your father solve his problems is a good thing, but you really are not mature enough. Don't worry. With Brother Qin Hao here, no matter how dangerous Lanchuan Mountain is, I will accompany you. No matter how many rebels come, I will kill them all for you. Qin Hao will not let them harm even a finger of yours. Qin Hao muttered in his heart. Then he kicked Jiang Fan's butt and said, "Stop pretending. Go back to the Jiang manor. I'm not pretending. I'm just a little afraid of the girl beside the princess. Master was right. She's actually a Yuan venerate. How terrifying." Jiang Fan wiped away the foam at the corner of his mouth and jumped up from the ground. If he had not pretended to be unconscious, he might have been beaten up. Furthermore, there doesn't seem to be a large forest next to Juchuan town. Master, you are lying to the princess. Tell me quickly, where did you come from? Where is he? Jiang Fan stared at him and stood up. Suddenly, he realized that Qin Hao had disappeared. At this moment, in the secret room of the Lingyun school, the mountain breeze blew past his cheeks, bringing with it the moisture that hit his face, giving off the coldness of autumn. This scene even made people feel a little bit like they were in a place. Jiang Nation's Akita town's Mount Qiufeng was a nostalgic experience. Is it really as Imperial Father said? You don't care about me at all? Brother Qin Hao, after this hunt, I'm afraid I won't have the chance to remember you like this again. Xiaohan's eyes flashed with sadness as she thought bitterly. A young man with a ponytail appeared in her mind, smiling at her. Go! With a shout, she whipped the reins around the horse's neck. The date red horse neighed and took the lead to gallop forward. Next year would be the Imperial Martial Arts competition. After the competition, Xiaohan would be appointed as the crown prince. He would have to help Xiao Yi deal with state affairs and would no longer have any freedom. As for that bullshit prince consort, sorry, the Imperial Martial Art competition would not have a final winner. Xiaohan had decided that she would participate as well. She wanted to defeat all the contestants and become the champion. If Qin Hao did not appear, she would not be with anyone else. However, she did not know that Qin Hao was actually by her side, secretly watching her and accompanying her at all times. The team kept going deeper and deeper. Along the way, Duan Ziju, Murong Zijuan, and Qi Yuan kept shooting and killing many demonic beasts. The demonic beasts in the Lanchuan mountain range were generally low-level and did not have the ability to resist. The strongest one they encountered was only a heavenly sage. The middle-aged general and the 4 statue-like knights had already retreated to the back. They kept a distance of 5 kilometers from Xiaohan's team so as not to affect the princess's mood. However, Xiaohan gradually lost interest in hunting. She was not interested in hunting. Furthermore, the demonic beasts were not challenging at all. It was getting more and more boring. As they went deeper, the expected attacks did not happen. This made her frown. Did the rebels give up? Impossible. They would not miss this opportunity. The demonic beasts in your Daliao are too weak. They are not challenging at all. Jingwe, you should come to my Great Yan. I will bring you to Great Yan's Mongqiu Mountain to hunt. The demonic beasts in Mongqiu Mountain are at Zun Realm. In the core area, there are also beast emperors and beast emperors. Although it is a little dangerous, that is what hunting is. It is very exciting. Murong Zijuan was holding a spear with a blue-furred rabbit on the spearhead. Do not underestimate this rabbit. It was only a rabbit king. Just a moment ago, it was careless and almost bit Murong Zijuan. A large piece of scale on its armor was torn off, and it still had a lingering fear. However, because it was a rabbit king, it was killed by Murong Zijuan. Murong Zijuan's face was filled with pride. Chapter 9:12. The Wu family was not qualified to follow the princess into the mountain. It had to be known that even Qin Hao, Jiang Yu, and Jiang Fan had only reluctantly agreed after old Master Jiang repeatedly begged and pleaded with them. But the day before they entered the mountain, the Wu family went to Murong Zijuan and said that the crown prince should have a local guide to avoid getting lost in the mountain. This was good for Murong Zijuan. If the team got lost, it would be convenient for him to show off in front of Xiaohan. After all, Jiang Yu and Jiang Fan were the young master and young lady of the Jiang family. They had been pampered since childhood and had not been in the Lanchuan mountain range for many times, so they were not familiar with the terrain. Murong Zijuan nodded happily at once. He would not let go of any chance to win Xiaohan's favor. As for the Sun family, they also sent out a guide to accompany Qi Yuan. Murong Zijuan was interested when he heard the Wu family's guide's words. He quickly asked, "What kind of competition?" The middle-aged, monkey-faced man's withered yellow eyes rolled a few times, and a treacherous look flashed in his eyes. He smiled and cupped his hands. "The level of the demonic beasts in the Lanchuan mountain range is too low. They are no match for the princess, the crown prince, Prince Chi Yuan, and Prince Duan. It's better to let General Xiao Han take a token from the princess and place it deep in a mountain range. The princess, the crown prince, and Prince Chi Yuan will be divided into 3 groups to search for it from different directions. The first person to find it first has some requests." Xiao Xiu was the leader of the Knight Regiment. He was the middle-aged general who had blocked blades for Xiao Yi several times on the battlefield and had a brotherly relationship. "Hey, Wu Lao-san, this is a good idea." Beside Chi Yuan, the Sun family's guide was delighted. His name was Sun Lu. He quickly agreed with Wu Lao-san's suggestion. "In addition, we can also set up a bet to predict in advance who will win in the end. As for the bet, I dare not say anything in front of the princess, the crown prince, and the prince," Sun Lu said again. "This is a good idea. Setting up a bet is also very interesting. It's much more exciting than hunting," Chi Yuan said excitedly. He had never played like this before. "Sister, K.Er wants to compete with them. K.Er wants to win." K.Er's interest was piqued, and she quickly tugged at the corner of Xiao Han's shirt. Xiao Han frowned slightly. He was not here to have fun. However, the rebel army had yet to appear, and it was getting a little boring. A 3-way competition? Open a gambling house? This suggestion reminded Xiao Han of the time when he had made a bet with Qin Yuhai and his son for Qin Hao on MT Autumn Wind. "All right, I can't win against you." Pinching the tip of K.Er's nose, Xiao Han smiled with a doting expression on his face. And this is all of these were crucial existences that would affect the outcome of the battle. And I know all of this. Qin Hao was implying that he could avoid all the obstacles in the shortest amount of time, find General Xiao Xiu first, and retrieve the princess's keepsake. Moreover, the princess dotes on Miss K.Er. Mount Lanchuan may seem peaceful, but there are many dangers lurking behind it. Not only are there magic beasts, there might even be— "Shut up. You go," Xiao Han reprimanded, and quickly stopped Qin Hao from continuing. She could hear the hidden meaning in Qin Hao's words. If they were to be attacked by the rebels during the competition, the consequences would be very dangerous. K.Er's cultivation level was high, but her ability to distinguish between good and evil was too weak. She would be easily deceived and would only stupidly resist if she was ambushed. On the other hand, Qin Hao's words were clear and logical. He was obviously a wily old fox, and his ability to avoid danger was above K.Er's. This kind of person was best at changing his direction and surviving in the cracks. "Jinghua, you're not joking, right?" Murong Zijuan was slightly surprised. He immediately exchanged glances with Qi Yuan before the two of them burst out laughing. They had sent a useless level 3 Yuan Monarch to defeat the eldest son of the Song family, Song Xiang, and Qi Yuan's favorite general. It was obvious that they wanted to lose. "Just say it if you want to lose. We won't bully you people from the Daoyao Empire." "Jinghua, let me go." Duan Ziju took a deep breath and took the initiative to step forward. His aura expanded slightly as 2 white streams of air swirled around his feet. A peak level 9 Yuan Monarch. Jiangyu was shocked. Duan Ziju was indeed one of the most promising contestants in the Emperor Martial competition. Who would have thought that the noble heir of the Duan royal residence would be such a monstrous existence that was almost at the level of a Yuan venerate? "You know my capabilities. I definitely won't lose to Song Xiang and Qi Yuan's favorite general." Duan Ziju looked at Xiao Han seriously. He wasn't an ordinary peak Yuan monarch, but an essence soul realm martialist who possessed a special flame. He didn't dare say that he could defeat K.Er, but at the very least, a level 2 Yuan venerate might not be a match for Duan Ziju. Others might not understand the purpose of entering the mountain, but Duan Ziju did. Xiaohan wanted to get rid of the remnants of the rebel army hiding in the Daliao Empire. Therefore, separating from the team would be extremely risky. However, Duan Ziju wasn't afraid because of Xiaohan. Big sister, Kair wants to go. Kair wants to participate. Kair simply didn't care if Qin Hao alone wanted to compete for a spot in the competition. However, when Duan Ziju stepped forward, she felt a sense of crisis. You can't do it either.